Welcome to Into the Weeds with Weezer, a Little Bitches podcast. A podcast where we discuss all the songs off of a Weezer album, then guess each other's favorite and least favorite song off said album. Hello, we are the Little Bitches. I am Kevin. This is Liam and Sandy, the other two bitches with me. The other two little bitches with me. And we're here to discuss the Green Album by Weezer. It was their third studio album. It came out on May 15th, 2001. It was nearly 5 years after Pinkerton. It is quote unquote the first post Pinkerton album. And is the first album to feature the new bass player, Mikey Welsh. Matt Sharp left the band. There's been great debate whether or not he was important to their early sound, and after he left, they changed their sound. The album is very, very short, very poppy, right to the point. Rick Ocasek came back to produce it. He produced the Blue Album as well, and then later on would produce Everything Will Be All Right in the End. Sorry. It was they had two singles, Island in the Sun and Photograph. Oh geez, the Hash Pipe, sorry.
Yeah.
I should put a space there. My bad. It had three singles, Hash Pipe, Island in the Sun, and Photograph, released in that order. It was well received generally by critics. It got a 73 out of 100 from I guess it was Metacritic, maybe not. I mean, I'm not sure what that thing was, but 73 out of 100 is pretty good. In the liner notes, there was this Italian phrase that I cannot read, but in English it translates into "Let's go back to the old and it will be progress," which I think was like a hint at like the let's go back to the Blue Album sort of, because Pinkerton was an embarrassment, I guess, is kind of the feeling I'm getting from that. Maybe, I don't know if you guys interpret that differently, or if we were aware of that that phrase.
I knew about that. It was on the inside of the, if I'm recalling correctly, it was on, you had to like open the CD and then like pop off the tray.
Yeah, the black part there.
Yeah, and then if you like looked on the back of the album art, I think I'm correct about this, but it was long time ago.
Yeah.
That's where it was. It was in there.
Okay.
And I don't think it was on all the copies of it.
I thought that the inside might have had the word no written.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. It has no in it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, you're correct.
Yeah.
The Italian phrase would have been visible just on the art.
I'm not sure where it was in the art.
It was in the back.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you're totally correct. There's the word no on the inside.
Which I thought, which is rumored to be a response to OK Computer from Radiohead.
Oh, really?
I have no idea if that's real or not. It's never been confirmed, because I think somewhere on Radiohead's OK Computer, it says something like, "Hello, I like you. Would you like to be my friend?"
Okay.
And then apparently this is a response to it, which was kind of weird because stylistically these albums are very different from each other.
That is weird. Also, "Hello, I like you. Do you want to be my friend?" sounds like it would be a Rivers lyric anyway. So it's weird that he would just so steadfastly shut it down.
That's how he usually introduces himself to people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can talk about the songs on the album. I'll pull up my notes here. The first song on the album is "Don't Let Go." It starts off with a do 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 do, which is very similar to the way Pinkerton starts off, only with like a ride instead of a drum hit. Yeah, I can say more about it, but I guess as we want to start it off, I feel free to jump in with the song "Don't Let Go." This is their 5-year hiatus. They come back with this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear from Sandy, because you were a Weezer fan around this time. So I want to know what it was like hearing it for the first time, and
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's
where you are with this song now.
Yeah. When so I got the Green Album when it came out, maybe a month after, but it was pretty much when it came out, and I hadn't heard Pinkerton at that time. I'd only heard the Blue Album. I heard my Weezer journey was like Blue, Green, Pinkerton. It went in that order, right? So yeah, all I had to go off of was the Blue Album, and I loved "Don't Let Go" when I heard it the first time. I thought it was a really, really good song. It never, like, the sort of reaction from the fan base like, you know, that's sort of part of the Green Album story, right? Is that the people who were really into the first two albums, a lot of them really didn't like the Green Album, right? Even though it was pretty well received by the critics.
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience. I didn't find out about that until later when I like went on the message boards and found, you know what I mean? To me, it just sounded like Weezer, and I thought it was a pretty good album. And I thought Don't Let Go was a good opener.
Yeah. What was gonna say is because I guess like the internet was not so big back then, so you wouldn't be aware of what everyone was talking about. Right?
No, I was really into the online Nirvana world. I was very.
There was an online Nirvana world, yeah.
Oh yeah,
crazy,
yeah, 100%. I was deep into that by the time I was a teenager. Like by the time I was like 14, 15, I was like deep into the online Nirvana world. But it didn't ever occur to me to. Like Weezer was just until that summer that the Green Album came out, Weezer was just one of a few other bands that I really, really liked. I wouldn't, my level of fandom for them wouldn't have been one where I'm like seeking out the online world or whatever, you know. I just thought they were a good band. But it was actually getting the Green Album and then getting Pinkerton after that put it into like overdrive for me.
Okay.
I thought it was a good song and a good way to start the album. And I had a friend at the time who was like an old school Weezer fan, like, and she hated it. She was like, this is awful.
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you guys think about it?
Well, I think my introduction to the Green Album was just a few years ago. Like I danced around the singles. I knew Hashpipe and Island in the Sun well. I don't think I knew Photograph. And it would have been a few years ago when I was really getting back into Weezer, like around the time of the Black Album coming out. And so I decided to go back and catch up with the Green Album. And I think at this point in online Weezer fandom, of which I knew a bit about, I wasn't deep on message boards, certainly because you have to be really into a band to get into message boards in like 2020. There's not all that many of them. But I spent a lot of time on the internet. And so I think I saw that at this point, the Weezer fandom was positive about Green. It was no longer the death keel after Pinkerton. It was more like, I heard that Green and Maladroit kind of kept things afloat, even though they were different than the first two albums. And then it was like, Make Believe was when the drop really happened. That's what I heard. And so I went to Green Album expecting it just to be poppy, but similar to the Blue Album, and just a bit different than what we got before. And I think that is I got what was described to me, but I ended up not liking what was described to me as much as I expected. And that's sort of crystallized in Don't Let Go, which has only faded off me in time. There was probably a time when I liked it more, but the thing that gets me about this album, and we'll talk about it as we go through all the tracks, is just I have a tough time spending too much time with the album, particularly listening to it front to back, because I don't feel like the songs have all that much texture to them. I don't feel like in contrast to the first two albums, Pinkerton or not, you know, the Blue Album is definitely cleaner. But even on the Blue Album, it feels like they took those songs and they explored every little nook and cranny of those songs.
Yeah.
And there were little details in there, and it feels like they were really thought through. Whereas the Green Album, I like a lot of these songs. I don't think that any of them are bad, but I do feel like they feel kind of like clean first drafts of these songs. And that is epitomized with Don't Let Go, because there are some live versions. I'm sure you guys have heard them. From a few years later, like 2005, they do this live version around the Make Believe era, and it's a bit higher in key. Rivers is singing it up the octave and changes some of the vocal melodies. There's a bit of synth work in the intro. The guitar solo is different. And that just shows me that these are good songs, and this is a good song. I won't talk too broadly. Don't Let Go, I think, is a good song, but whenever I'm listening to it on the album, I just wish I was listening to a different version of it.
Yeah, totally.
The melodies are totally nice, but they could be better. Like, I don't like that he is kind of singing the same, I don't know, 4 notes, 5 notes.
I thought you were going to say, when I'm listening to this song, I wish I was listening to a different song.
No, not entirely. Yeah. So I wish I was listening to a different version.
Well, the other versions are so different that like they kind of are like a different song, right?
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with this one. I think it's pleasant, but I think there's a lot better versions of it out there.
There's something that I want to say about this whole album. This album gives me claustrophobia. It is super condensed. I made notes here whenever they present a musical idea in a different way one time than another. Like, for example, one time it's like quiet, one time it's loud. Like, I reward them for doing that because it rarely ever happens. It's very, very dense. I didn't know that it was for the gods to receive until like a few minutes ago. I thought it was for the guards to receive. I thought it was like some kind of like castle thing going on.
The British are coming, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
That is tough, because I think I've heard that Weezer didn't release liner notes for a lot of these albums. Like, they didn't have the lyrics in a booklet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and so even on Spotify, some of those lyrics are so wrong what they're giving you. I can tell.
Yeah, totally.
It's just not what he's saying at all.
Even when we get to Hashpipe later on, there's some debate about what the words actually are.
Yeah.
First of all, I got to give him credit for not starting the song off with a guitar solo that matches one of the final parts of the song.
Yeah.
Which the last 6 songs do that. So give him points for that. I appreciate that. This is like the only time on the album where I hear in the B part, but if there comes a day, you should turn your heart away. The bass is kind of moving and you can kind of hear it. And I think that's the only time I actually noticed the bass doing something interesting in the whole album.
Yeah, Mikey got done dirty on that one. Yeah,
for sure.
He's a good bassist, and he's not utilized at all on that album.
Yeah, so maybe there was more stuff that you guys noticed that we can talk about it afterwards, but that's the only thing I noticed that the bass was unique about was that one spot on the album.
Totally.
Sadly, I'm pretty sure, except for like one song, the guitar solo is just the verse melody played on a guitar. Basically, that's all it is. It has a very similar structure to like basically all the songs on the album. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be pessimistic about this, but yeah,
it's my opinion of it has changed a bit as I've gotten older, and as I've I used to think I would never would I have put it in like, it was never like one of my favorite Green songs, you know, like ever. But I used to rank it a lot higher than I do now. Like now when I listen to it, I find it pretty boring. The Green version, just for the reasons that you guys are talking about. Like, it's so compressed, and it's got, there's such a small amount of like texture and dynamic to it, that I find myself kind of bored when I listen to it. I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, here we go. It's got a couple of nice chord changes. It's got like a, you know, when he's like, but in there comes a day you should turn your head. Like, there's like a secondary dominant in there, which it's like a little bit chromatic, which there's good chromatic chord changes all over the Green album, which is sort of cool about it.
What does that mean?
Chromatic means a note that's outside of the key signature, right? So basically, chroma meaning color, chromatic meaning like color, right? Introducing color. So one of the ways you can do that is by using notes from outside of the key signature that you're in, and he does that. There's a few places on the Green album where he does that. So it's a colorful song, but it's a song that doesn't have a lot of hooks, I don't think. And yeah, that the make believe era version of it is like a night and day different song, right?
And I think I discovered that make believe version quickly, and so it it made me like the song. It made me think that I like the actual Green Album one more. I think because Green Album is Don't Let Go is the first on the album. I think I liked it to begin with because it's really pleasing. Like a lot of the songs on this album, they sort of live and die by how much you just like the vocal melody. And in this case, I really like the vocal melody in the verses and I guess the chorus. This is one of those tunes where I'm not really sure what the
there's
chorus
no chorus.
is.
I think that this is like, well, we were kind of talking in the chat a few days ago, right? That like there's a form of songwriting that doesn't have choruses, right? It's a sort of early 20th century kind of songwriting. A really good example of it is the song Over the Rainbow, right? If you think about the song Over the Rainbow, what's the chorus, right? There's no chorus in it. There's just two sections, right? Somewhere over, there's that part, and then there's the part that's like da 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 da, right? There's no chorus, right? And that's how songs were written in pop music in the first 3 or 4 decades of the 20th century, right? And I think he draws heavily from that, from those like early 20th century, like Tin Pan Alley, like early pop music conventions. I think you hear a lot of that on the Green Album, which I think is actually something that's pretty interesting about it.
It's like this concept that you're talking about was just like introduced to me like a few days ago. So like I still, not all the time, but sometimes I still perceive things as like being like Mr. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus kind of thing.
Well, it's subjective too, right? Yeah. Like it's you could make an argument that those songs have choruses and bridges and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Totally. That's musicology is, from what I understand of it, is very subjective in a lot of ways. Right?
That line, was it confrontations in my mind? I would consider that the bridge, sort of, because it just happens once in the song.
Yeah,
I would too. Yeah.
And then I thought maybe If There Comes a Day is the chorus, but anyway, yes, it's all subjective. But one thing that's kind of exciting about the song is that towards the end, the drums kind of do some kind of unique drumming a little bit.
Yeah, bum bum bum. He says that.
The bum bum bum.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting whenever you hear the drums do something, because the drums barely do anything on this album. Like exciting. So give him some credit for that.
Yeah,
this is a bit of a downer here.
Well, we're not off to a rousing start with the Green Album, but the Green Album has flaws, right? And I think that you have to acknowledge that. And one of the biggest flaws, maybe the biggest flaw, is the production, right? Which is kind of what we're talking about here, right? It's not good. it only works on a few of the songs, right? And there are some songs that I think really do sound good with the Green Album's production, but
okay.
And by production, do you just mean like the sound of it?
No, I do mean that, like the engineered sound of it, but I also mean the arrangements.
Yeah.
Right. So not just the engineered sound, which I'm not really fond of particularly, right? It's a little bit too generic. Especially compared to the 2 albums that came before it and the one that followed it. It's really not very exciting, right?
Totally.
But I think Rivers from late 2000 and early 2001 would tell you that that's the point. He would probably tell you that, in fact, he said that in a few interviews around then, that the Green Album is like a musical experiment, like it's like a musical exercise, right?
Yeah, I remember hearing something about like, so Pinkerton went so badly that this was like his reaction to it was to say like I heard people say at the time, I don't agree with this, that these are all a bunch of remakes of Buddy Holly, which I don't think they sound like Buddy Holly at all.
No, I don't agree with that.
But like they're very compact like Buddy Holly, but they don't sound like Buddy Holly in the same way. But there's like, to me, it feels like there's like this fuck you to the world. Like this great guitarist is going to spend every single guitar solo, except for one exception, to play the vocal melody. It's like, oh, no one like Pinkerton, like following few guitar solo, and then like, all right, well, how about this? I'm just going to play the exact same thing that I sing.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's how
Rivers from around that time is a really fascinating character to me.
Yeah.
This is when he was almost at his most enigmatic to me, because after Pinkerton went how it went, right? He had like a number of years where all he was doing was writing songs, and not just that, but doing like these really, I think probably pretty thorough theoretical breakdowns in this giant binder he
Oh
had.
yes, I've heard about this.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
I think he was focusing on Nirvana, Oasis, and Green Day, actually.
Okay.
Right? Because these were bands that he really, really admired and thought that they had like really great songwriting.
Yeah.
And so I think unless I'm missing something, which I don't think I am, he basically spent those intervening years trying to kind of like crack the code of like how to write something universally appealing that everyone will like, right? And I think he was really intentional about it, and the result is the Green Album.
That is really interesting, because when I listen to this after hearing that it's like just straightforward pop songs, I'll take back what I said earlier, that I got what I had heard, because it is a bit more like subversive and like more of like a fuck you than I thought it would be, because it's not like a pop song. I can normally tell a modern pop song. I can tell where the pre-chorus is and the chorus, and it feels very distinctive and more like stuff that he would do on Make Believe. Whereas this is definitely a different style of songwriting, and the fact that it is that all the way through, that there are so many characteristics of each song that are common between every one of them, definitely makes me think that this is all very intentional. And having heard some of the other stuff he had written prior to the Green Album that then wasn't on this album, also makes me think that this is a very conscious effort. And the next album would come out only a year later and be so different, right?
Like barely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like 11 and a half months or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
You want to say anything else about the song?
I don't think so. It's I think I'm good on it. Like I'm unless you guys have something else to say about it.
No, that feels good. I think I agree with Sandy that it does feel a bit boring. I think it's pleasant enough, but it is a bit boring. But there are better versions of it out there, which means that it is also a good song by itself, because the foundation is all there. I just don't think this is it on the record.
Yeah. One thing I should say, just I'm going to point this out, is that most of the lyrics on this album I put into the category of kind of like sappy or generic, and there's two songs that I put them in the category of whack.
Okay.
And this is one of the more generic, but this is not too sappy. There's kind of like different. This is kind of like more generic than it is sappy, but anyway, I might discuss the two whacked ones.
I'd love to know.
Yeah.
So the second song is Photograph. It is the only song that starts with some feedback. Is that even feedback? I'm not sure what that is.
I've never known what that is.
Some sort of sound, and like it sounds like the most spontaneous like studio sound on the whole album. Other than that, it's like straightforward. It's like the most Pinkerton thing to happen on the album. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Let's start there. It's also one of two songs on the album that features someone other than Rivers doing backing vocals.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
This is one of
baby.
This is one of my chief issues with the Green Album, is that to me Weezer doesn't really sound like Weezer if I don't hear Brian Bell doing backing vocals. Like his voice is so distinctive.
That's what I found so beautiful about like the Blue Album, especially, is that you could hear like people's voices intertwining together, and like it made it sound more like a band than one person.
And Brian's voice and Rivers' voice sound so good together. It just makes such a nice blend of tones, and I think it's really elemental to the Weezer sound. And this is one of, and again, I'm just going off my memory here, but this one has it, and at the end of Simple Pages you hear Brian as well, but other than that it's Rivers all the way through.
I don't know if I should bring this up right now, but maybe I will. There's been like suggestions that "Oh Baby" is just been sampled for both the songs, because Brian Bell sings "Oh Baby" here and then in Simple Pages.
Yeah, but in Simple Pages he also does the "Give me some love, give me some love, give me some, I want you." But it could be the same. It could be the same "Oh baby."
No, because it's the exact same
hilarious.
line. Oh baby,
It's true.
I looked it
thought
up today
about
because
that.
I was like, this sounds so familiar, and then like people on Reddit are talking about it. But yeah.
There's rumors. There was always rumors around the message boards that something really bad happened between Brian and Rivers during that session, the Green Album sessions, and that Brian came like really close to quitting the band.
Oh, yeah, right.
I've never been like I spent a lot of time on the Weezer message boards, boys. So I like I've looked into this, and that's all I could ever find out about it was just like a message board rumor.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it got started, and I don't know if there's anything to it. But that was one of the rumors about these sessions that there was some kind of acrimony, and that Brian was close to leaving Weezer.
Oh, so maybe they had sampled him for one of the songs.
And the other thing that Mikey Welsh. Well, I'm sorry, I've kind of taken us away from Photograph now,
Yeah.
so
No, have at it.
I'll bring us back and cede the floor in a second. But Mikey Welsh, around 2011, 2010, like right before his death, he was posting a lot on his Facebook page, just like Weezer memories and like things from around his time in Weezer. Some of them were really, really, really funny. One of them was about the Green Album recording sessions.
Yeah.
And he was sort of, it was like in a larger, the context of it was he was talking about how, like, you know, once Weezer got really successful again with the Green Album, it was not a fun band to be in for him anymore, right?
Yeah.
He said one of the things that he mentioned, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this is close to his exact words, were like, you know, being in a studio tracking bass with some major label asshole standing over my shoulder telling me if I got like a note, like a hair off the metronome, you know what I mean? Like basically, fuck that, I don't need that. So I don't know if the major label asshole is Rick Ocasek or Rivers Cuomo, but
Right.
Wait, I don't understand. Why was he saying that? Oh, you don't know. Sorry, I thought he was saying.
Yeah, I don't know who it
is. I thought you were still
a
quoting him.
disembodied voice behind it. He can never
Okay.
figure out who it
Okay.
belonged to.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
I don't know that these were like fun sessions for Weezer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't think the album sounds very fun. Like, I think you can have fun to it, but in terms of the recordings, it doesn't sound like they're having fun the way it does on a bunch of the songs from the previous albums.
Yeah,
partly
totally.
because the backing vocals aren't there. A lot of it is just Rivers. There's not so much of the ad libs. There's not extra feedback or little guitar noodles. It really just, a lot of it feels like it was done once and copied and pasted. And I think Photograph is one of the exceptions to it, where this song starts with the feedback and then with the backing vocals, the oohs, and it feels like fun to me. That Don't Let Go didn't have. And Rivers has so much more character in his voice in this song than he does in the previous song, just like the register he's singing in and the way he's saying the words. Don't Let Go, it kind of sounds like he took like a Valium or something. Whereas Photograph, he sounds more like the guy from the last two albums. And so this one is really striking to me. I think it has a vibrant energy to it. And I think the lyrics, though they are simple and they're simple throughout basically the whole album, I think the lyrics here are actually saying something, certainly more than they were in the last song. Like in the second verse, he says, if you want it, you should show it because you might, I think he says, because you might play so monastic that you blow it.
Yeah.
Which is not what Spotify says that he says, but I think that's what it is.
That's what he's saying. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and I think that's a really cool lyric, and it sort of details the same guy that we've been told about on the last two albums. This guy who's playing it really cool, is afraid to tell the girl he's interested in her, the El Scorcho guy. And so I think the lyrics to this song are really sweet. So I really dig this song.
I apologize for my bad knowledge of words. Is monastic like not giving a shit, sort of?
Monastic, the way is like living the lifestyle of a monk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So sort of not giving a shit, but more just like, okay.
Like I interpret it as like withdrawn, sort of reserved within oneself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. potentially maybe even isolated, right? Because he spent 2 years of his life previous to this album, 1998 and 1999, basically never leaving his apartment, just in there writing songs.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
I've always thought Photograph might be could be interpreted as like some parts of it anyway about, or maybe even all of it about his career. That he's, especially the last verse where he's saying like, if you blew it, what does he say? Like, don't reject it. Just keep drawing up the plans and re-erect it. I was like,
cool.
to me, I think he's talking about his career. And I think a lot of the songs on Green and Maladroit can be interpreted that way.
Wow, man, I honestly never even considered any of these words to have any kind of meaning.
Yeah, I think I think the Green album is I'm not saying, a hugely deep album, but I think it's a deeper album than people give credit to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's more going on there than just him sort of writing. I think they're lyrics that sound generic, but I don't think that they're meaningless lyrics. If you get my drift. Yeah. I've always thought Photograph was about him and his songwriting and his career.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. That just sit, draw up the plans, and re-erect it.
Yeah.
If you blew it, don't reject it. Just sit and drop the plans and re-erect it. So it's like if he blew it the last time, he can still kind of make a comeback.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've always thought that's what he was talking about there.
I never knew that. I was always thinking about some sort of love thing that never made sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess like I'm just going to bring it up now. There's this consistent structural theme throughout the whole album. I'm just going to call it A, B, A, B, C, A solo, B, C, A ending.
Yep.
That's kind of like the whole structure of everything. Most of the songs are kind of fit that structure in my head, with the second half of the album having a guitar solo from the latest. So like, let's say it goes A, B, C. So C will be the part that has the solo at the beginning. If it goes all the way to D, then D will have the solo at the beginning. So the last part of that sequence will play at the very beginning as a guitar solo. So this fits that structure pretty well, except for there's no guitar solo at the beginning. And also I appreciate it's kind of like a little bit sort of Beach Boys-ish, kind of back to the Blue Album.
Totally.
Ooh, a little the oohs and stuff.
Yeah, hand claps.
Yeah, the hand claps too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of has like, and there's good dynamics. That the first verse there's like no drums in at the beginning, so there's a bit of a dynamics to the song, which I give it a lot of credit for. So yeah, good on them.
There's also this was the third single for the Green album.
Yeah.
So it came out in fall of 2001. Hashpipe was spring 01. Island in the Sun was summer 01, and Photograph was fall 01. And this one has a kind of a fun music video. It's like a DIY music video that was shot by like I don't know. I've never known if his name is like Carl Koch or Coke or Cook or whatever. I don't know. I'm just gonna call him Carl. But
Koch.
Yeah, or like Koch, or I don't know how you say that. But it was shot by Carl while they were on the Green album tour, and it's pretty charming. It's like just obviously like this buddy of the band with like a digital camera shooting a video for them while they're sound checking, right? Like I've always liked the video.
It kind of reminds me of like Pinkerton had two singles and they almost had a third.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Pink Triangle. And then like this one was like kind of like they didn't hire a professional to shoot their final single.
I think it's a good choice for a third single too. I think it's one of the catchier songs on the album, and I think it does have substance to it, but still follows an accessible structure, and it still has like some of the little bits of texture that I was lacking in Don't Let Go. Like right before the solo starts, there's like a just an effect sort of as they're going into the solo, like a guitar effect. Something kind of rings out right beforehand. It kind of sounds like what starts the song. Just this weird little sound.
Yeah, okay.
And I like that.
It's probably some kind of pedal or something that's like it's going off there. Yeah. Do you want to go to the next song? You got more to say, anybody? Or
I don't have any more to say, but I will say that this is another one, maybe the last thing, that around the same time as they were doing Maladroit, they were putting out on their website, they were not just putting out demos and things like that from those sessions, but they were also putting out live soundboard recordings from the Green album tour, right? and one of the recordings was a live version of Photograph that had like a kind of a bit of a jauntier solo that wasn't just the verse melody, and it was also like far superior. It was like really elevated the song just to get even like that little bit of variety in there, right? Where you're, and I just remember it was like just like a nice little, because the solo is really short in Photograph. It's like 5 seconds, but it was just like a nice little run up a scale that he did and back down, and it was like. Yeah.
It honestly kind of offends me a bit that the solos aren't that on this album, because you could still have the same pop structures and just put a little bit more character into those solos. Like, it really does feel like Rivers was like, I'm going to give you guys the basics and you're going to love it. And it's going to, or at the very least, it's going to be successful. It's going to make us a relevant band again.
I've always thought that he was, because I know that Rivers like is a massive Nirvana fan.
Yeah.
And Teen Spirit, the solo in Teen Spirit is just the verse melody.
That's true.
And I thought that he was always sort of like aping that or going for that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like if you just do it all the time, it's kind of like what the hell's going on?
Yeah. 10 or 9 times in a row. It's a bit much.
It's also a lot of like the earlier Beatles songs did that. They were usually a little more creative. Like they wouldn't just play the verse melody. They do like some little fills around it and stuff like that. But they sort of like Hard Day's Night era Beatles would do that kind of thing. And Brian Bell, I remember around the time of the Green Album, I had an interview with him where he described it as the Green Album as Hard Day's Night Beatles meets Helmet. I don't know Helmet either,
Okay.
but I assume that there's some kind of band that uses distorted guitars.
Okay. So speaking of distorted guitars, well, like the whole album is full of distorted guitars, but Hash Pipe is probably the heaviest song on the album,
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
and it's probably like the most unique one, at least in my opinion. It's and at this point of Weezer's career, I'd say it's like the biggest, like the sharpest turn they've ever made.
Sure.
And this song I'm going to call one of the two that has the whack
It's whack,
lyrics.
isn't it? I knew it was going to be whack. Yeah.
I think I can guess the other whack
too.
one.
Yeah, okay, all right.
We'll see if we can call it out as it comes.
Yeah.
But yeah, opinions, feelings.
I'd love to hear yours. I feel like Liam and I have been.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I mean, first off, I find it very curious about this song is that there's so many versions of it. I watched the music video, and in the first course, I'm going to call it a course, they chop it off halfway through.
Yeah.
And then like there's like these tail end things. I guess you call them like a D part, or it goes after the chorus. It goes I got my hash pipe.
Yeah.
And like I've heard versions where that happens after the second course and the third course.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard versions where it happens only at the second course. Like it feels like it's all like in like Pro Tools, and then it's like been chopping it up like,
Totally
every time, like on how they're going to release it.
I was so bummed out. Not to interrupt you. I was so bummed out when I bought the Green Album on vinyl and found out that it was one of the fucking edited versions of Hash Pipe on it. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. This album is already only like 28 minutes long. And now,
Extra 3 seconds.
like, there's no fat to trim, guys. Like, come on.
And this is also the only song on the album that has a guitar solo that's not quite the vocal melody. Like it kind of alludes to it a little bit, but it actually goes off on its own tangent, which is like very nice. It's I mean, it's a really strange song. Its lyrics have a lot of ambiguity. I got my ass wide, my ass wipe.
Yeah.
You got your big G's.
Eyes wide, maybe.
Eyes wide. I've heard that too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's wildly. It was a really insane thing as like a kid to hear the song come out after like knowing the other albums.
Well, because we're like pretty close to the same age. Do you remember when this came out? Do you remember the single and the video and stuff?
Yeah, I remember being like, yes, this is Weezer. And then like it took me a few years to sort of process like this is not really Weezer.
Took some time in therapy.
I had to figure out like hey, Weezer's back. This is great. And I'm like, but wait, what
But
happened?
I hate this.
He's got his ass wide.
What is happening in the song? No, it's a great song. I'm pro this song, but it was totally like not something I expect from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say about it, I guess.
What was it like for you, Sandy, when this song came out?
Yeah, I remember when I found out about this song. I had this friend in high school named Dan Gilhooly. Shout out to Dan Gilhooly.
It's a good name.
Yeah, man. I haven't talked to him in like 15 years.
Wait, is
yeah,
his last name Hooley?
Gilhooly.
Gilhooly, okay.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked in a really long time. It's just
call
one
him
of
up.
those things.
Let's invite him over.
Man, he like I don't even think that he's like he was one of those people who never made the transition to social media and just like, went his own way.
He's out in the woods right now.
Yeah. No, I remember I was walking to art class or something like that. I was pretty sure it was art class.
Yeah.
And I was making like a funny voice or something, and we were just goofing around with him, and I made like a high pitched voice, and he was like, "Oh, like the guy in Weezer," and I was like, okay, like I don't know what that means, right? Because I only know the Blue album, and
Yeah, you were like, you mean Matt Sharp?
yeah. He was like, and I was like, oh, okay, or whatever, and then like. A few days after that, I think I was just watching Much Music or something, and I saw the video and I heard him, and I was like, got it, right? That's what he meant. And then of course finding out that Weezer had a new song out, which was really exciting for me. And then that's how I got into the Green album, was just because they had that. I went on LimeWire right away and downloaded it, and I actually had it out of order, because that's just how it was back then, right? Like, so I had it all. I can't remember what the original order was, but I didn't. It wasn't until I got the CD that I heard it like kind of the way it was supposed to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Hash Pipe's a pretty good song. It's really interesting one because it's part of the Summer Songs 2000. It's an SS2K song, so it's of the songs on the Green album, it's the second oldest one. Island in the Sun is older. It was written in '99, but this one was written. And there's.
I was going to say that this song and Dope Nose are written together, I believe.
Yeah, they're written on the side. I was just about to mention that,
okay,
right?
good.
That this song and Dope Nose are written on the same night. And do you guys know the story about that?
Tell it.
Yeah,
A little bit.
That Rivers basically said that he was experimenting with different ways of writing songs, and that he had taken a couple shots of tequila and a bunch of Ritalin, and was sitting in his backyard, and wrote both Hash Pipe and Dope Nose in his head without an instrument.
Oh, really? I didn't know that part. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just cruising on this tequila and Ritalin combo. And that's the story of those songs.
Tequila and Ritalin will give you songs with 2 words in the title, one of them being an allusion to weed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool, and it's one of the songs that doesn't have a live arrangement. Like when they toured the Green album, eventually on the Green album tour, they started to change the arrangements of the songs and play different solos and do that stuff.
Oh, cool.
But Hash Pipe, they never changed. It was always pretty much exactly like the album version.
And maybe it belongs to be. I mean, it should be that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a testament to how strong this song is. I really like this song. I like that it has distinct sections. I like Photograph, but even that, it is kind of off-putting to me that I don't feel like I know what the chorus is, because everybody's got enough, shooting for the stars above, I guess. But this one distinctly has not just a verse with a cool melody, because that falsetto, it's really striking, but I also think it's really catchy.
Totally.
But behind that, it's not just open power chords the way the other 2 songs have had. It's a distinct riff that's based around power chords, but it's very distinct. And then it has this pre-chorus that I think is really notable, and Pat starts just wailing on the crash in that section. Come on and kick me.
Yeah.
And then the chorus is also super distinct in this song. It has another cool guitar part where it's descending,
Totally.
and Pat is on the bell on his ride cymbal, and it just feels like this song they had it. They flushed it out. They they had it as figured out as it could be, whereas I think a lot of the other tunes on this album kind of feel like first passes, and that even
Yeah.
speaks to the solo. Like the solo is simple, and it definitely alludes to the vocal melody, but it's different,
Yeah,
and
totally.
it's catchy, uh, and it also has those little parts that you say have been edited out sometimes. I think that's a cool little wrinkle
Totally.
in the song. I think Rivers' vocals have a whole lot of attitude, which I love. Like he's
Too.
got character. I love the grunts. I love that every chorus, I feel like I can tell that it's a different take, like the way he's saying, I
Oh, is
got
it
my
really? Yeah.
eyes wide. Whereas on the other songs, even if they're not the same take, they sound so similar. But from chorus to chorus, you can kind of tell that he's saying it in a different way. And so I think this
Oh,
song
wow.
kind of sounds lively. I like that there's a bit of a telephone effect on his vocals
Yeah.
at the end of the chorus. I got my hash
It's like
pipe.
some fuzz on it or something.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think this song is just like is really fully realized, and if the Green Album, like this fits right on the Green Album, so I don't think it sticks out, but I also think it is, as opposed to some of the other tunes, is like the perfect encapsulation of what the Green Album is at like its best moments.
Yeah. One kind of like side note that I remember about this is that because you point out like the pre-chorus and the chorus, this may be the only moment on the album where the I don't know how to put this. So like, oh, okay. So like songs can have like 4 bars of this, 4 bars of that, and like be kind of plodding along in the very like structured way. But if you really pay attention to how the pre-chorus functions, it goes, "Come on and kick me, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Come on and kick me." Cut to the chorus,
Yeah.
meaning that they cut off a bar, which like creates more like an angular feeling to the song, which is like, I mean, I love doing that myself, and I love hearing songs like that. And like, I think this is the only moment on this album that actually has like a structural like curveball, I guess.
Where it's sort of asymmetrical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it'll be 3 bars instead of 4 for one part of it.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah. There's I think that the song sounds like it's really energetic and really rocking. I think because it's from a set of songs, the Summer Songs 2000 songs that are themselves very energetic and rocking.
Yeah.
And it's sort of I actually I like the Green Album. I like it less now than I did when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. It's gone down in my rankings actually since then. I still like it. I would never want to get rid of it in Weezer's catalog, but Hash Pipe.
Sorry, it's a little loud there. Taking a little pee.
Hash Pipe kind of makes me think about like what the Summer Songs album might have sounded like. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck, that would have been cool. But yeah, no, I'm. It's good, but it also. But the other thing about Hash Pipe too is that there's like it's sort of also emblematic of like the missed opportunities. Even though I think it's a great song, there's like it just makes me again every song on the Green Album. Even though I like them, I love them all. It's every song you can think about the missed opportunities there, right? Like it's the heaviest song on the Green Album, and it's not a heavy recording. You know what I mean? Like this could sound so much heavier and so much crunchier, and like if like the snare drum was like right up in your face and like the, you know what I mean, and the guitars were like dirtier, and it could be so cool.
Yeah.
So it's like this again, it's like with Don't Let Go, like it's not a boring song, it's just this version is boring, right? And it's like with Hash Pipe, I'm like, this is a heavy song, but this is not a heavy recording. You know what I mean?
And this is probably like a struggle, like, I mean, just in general, to like when you write a song and then you try to record it, if it actually comes out the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't come out the way they wanted it to, or maybe they wanted it to
I
come
bet
out
it
this way.
came out exactly the way he wanted. Yeah, I bet it came out exactly the way he wanted.
That's how we wanted it at that moment in time. But I do wonder, like, what it would be like if they saved this song for Maladroit, because I think it would fit really well on that album if they had just dirtied up their recording a bit. I think this version fits the Green Album really well, because it has those cleaner characteristics, but still has a bit of grit to it. But Sandy's right, like they could have this song would fit really well if they had done a bit of different production choices to it, but then it wouldn't really fit on the album.
then it wouldn't work on the album.
But maybe do a trade-off: Keep Fishing and Hash Pipe switch albums, and then
Maybe,
have the
yeah.
production for Keep Fishing is kind of more the lighter ones on Maladwa.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm gonna call it Maladwa, by the way.
Do it. I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it out of like it's like the Weezer canon, right?
Yeah.
They call it maladroit, so I've just over the years that's what I've learned to call it.
Yeah, I just learned it that way, and I can't unlearn it.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. That's cool. We're all just little bitches here, man.
The next song is Island in the Sun, which was a big hit song. It was what can I say about it? I think it has some pretty generic, sappy lyrics. I'd be very interested if you guys hear something deeper in the meaning of the lyrics of this, because I definitely cannot imagine there being anything more, but I didn't study it carefully. One thing I just want to say is I really appreciate the idea that they wrote a song around like kind of like an eccentric kind of riff.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just power chords, it was actually like some kind of weird kind of thing. How do you guys feel about the song?
Liam?
I think this song earns the mellow performance that Don't Let Go has. Like where Don't Let Go, I don't think it should be that mellow.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this one, this song suits really well the kind of understated vocals. He's kind of down in his range for a lot of the time. Even his little hips kind of sound despondent, which makes me think of the OOOs at the beginning of Don't Let Go, which are also, you don't never really hear someone whoa 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 that despondently. Normally it's like a victorious thing. And so you never really hear someone hip despondently either, but he does it. And but then the whole song matches it, and it still has like these peaks and valleys with the We'll Run Away Together part, which has a really nice harmony on it.
Yeah.
So, and I also think that this song does a good job at painting a picture, having a bit extra instrumentation there. Like if you listen with headphones, there's stuff going on in the right ear, there's some stuff going on in the left ear. And I even noticed from listening to this album a lot over the last few weeks, and I've heard this song more than any of them, just because it's so popular. I still notice things about it that I hadn't noticed before, which I didn't think I could do with this album. I feel like each song has, I don't know, like 10 instrument tracks on it max, and so like I feel like I've figured them all out.
Yeah.
But this time around, like I heard some really some subtle ooze in the pre-chorus I like, and there was also this little like guitar scratching thing in the second verse.
Yeah.
Like yeah. I don't know exactly what that's called.
Totally.
But like when you put when you
mutes the
rest your
strings.
fingers on the strings and mute them and just kind of do like a rake thing. That's in the second verse,
Yeah,
and it's really
it's
cool.
It's in like one of the. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah, this time around, I remember hearing something about on this song. Yeah, I didn't know what part it was, but I was like, "What the hell is that?" Yeah, shit, crazy.
Yeah. And sorry, Sandy, I'll say one more
course,
thing.
man. Yeah.
The solo, even though it's the vocal melody, for some reason with this tune, just the fact that all the performances and all the instrumentation is so laid back. I like hearing the verse the melody in the guitar solo. I think it feels very much like I'm just like relaxing on a beach, and I don't really want to be stressed to like hear anything wilder than that. I like Hash Pipe. I think this is like a really great representation of the Green Album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing that I was going to say was that I think is Pat not. There's like a shaker in the. I don't even know if he's using the hi-hat in the verses. I can't remember right now, but there's like very prominent shaker in the verses of it.
Yeah, there is. I think he's on the hi-hat as well, but the shaker is cool.
So there's more texture to it, right? There's another texture in there. They do when at the show that we saw them, that Molson Center show, I thought they opened within the garage, but I went and looked up the set list the other day, and they actually opened with Island in the Sun.
All right.
Live versions around then were really interesting. They would the solo was a little different, and it was a little more dramatic. like in a little more melancholy, and he would kind of rise up. So there was and he did that solo for a while on it, even after the Green Album and Maladroit tours. But the way they would end the song was really, really, really nice. They would sort of like the dynamic would drop, and they would really hang on that last minor key, and Rivers would just be going like, no, 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 and really, really, really dreamy and atmospheric and like really beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, missed opportunities, but yeah, this is the oldest song on the Green Album in terms of when they were written.
Have you heard
Yeah.
like a really old version? What
There's
is that like?
it's really similar. It's Rivers playing everything. He's on drums, bass, guitar, like he does everything. It's very, very similar. The only difference is obviously the recording is more lo-fi because it's just like he did it on like a cassette 8-track in his apartment or whatever. So that's kind of charming actually that it's this sort of lo-fi recording. The only difference is for the B section there, like the "We'll Run Away Together" part, instead of coming in crashing with distorted guitars, he just brings in a little organ.
Oh, I think I have heard this version before. Yeah.
Right? So the dynamic of the song never pushes past where it is in the verses. It stays chill the whole time.
But that's another thing about this album. I mean, not this album, this song too, is that I think it's the only song on the album that actually has that kind of like quiet, loud,
Totally.
like dynamic. I think is there any other song on the album that has that?
Nope.
I can't think of one. And like, I've played this song and what do you call it? Pink Triangle. And I think like the riffs kind of started the same way. I don't know if you ever played both those songs before. Anyway.
Like the bum 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 bum.
Yeah, that part right there, like it has kind of like it's the same like key, kind of just using similar kind of like little high chord patterns.
That makes sense because they're both in E minor. I think they
minor.
both do the same E minor, A minor, D, G progression.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Another thing too is that like we did a cover of this song, my band, and our drummer Devin like hates playing it. Like I guess a lot of because it's so simple and boring.
Yeah.
he did really cool. Like for the pre-chorus there, like On an Island in the Sun. If that's the pre-chorus, it's like he does like a little makes it sound a lot
Spices it up.
Yeah, it gives it more spice to it. Yeah.
This is one of the songs that I think you can make a good argument that this is one of the sort of like AABA ones, right?
Oh yeah.
Because the On an Island in the Sun part, it is a different melody, but it's over the same chords as the verse.
Okay.
And it to me doesn't to me doesn't really feel like a pre-chorus or a chorus or any. It just sort of feels like the verse is still going.
Yeah.
Is it like a variation on the verse kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then that contrasting bit where it gets loud, I would call like the B section, right?
Yeah.
So I think of Island in the Sun very much as like an AABA song, right? Yeah. I go back and forth on this one because I fundamentally understand that it's a really good song, but it's one of those ones that unfortunately I've heard so much that I have to kind of tease that stuff apart in my mind when I listen to it, right? Because I'll feel a little bit bored. I'll be like, okay, here we are. Yeah, right, got it. Island in the Sun again. And I'm like, so one half of me is kind of thinking that, and then the other half is going like, this is a fucking awesome song. Like, this is a really well-written song. Yeah, like there's a reason why this is one of their biggest songs and was like a massive international hit, right? That he did it. The thing that he's trying to do on the Green Album, which is like crack the code of like how to write a song that everyone will love. He did it on Island in the Sun.
Yeah. It's just like, I guess from this point onwards, I don't know if the rest of the songs were as baked, as well baked. To like, if Island in the Sun and Hashpipe didn't exist on this album, like, what do these other songs take their place?
And isn't it interesting too that those two are the oldest songs on the album?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Hashpipe was written sometime in early 2000.
Okay.
Right, and Island in the Sun was written in early '99. Right.
Okay.
And I know when all the other ones were written too, so we can get into that as we go into the second half of the album, because that's part of that. That's going to be part of that discussion for sure.
Yeah, I just well, you said you're not sure if the lyrics have any depth, right? Beyond like what is literally being said. And I agree. I think it is very plain-faced, but from listening to it more over the last few weeks, because I've heard this song so much as well. I don't remember the first time I heard it, but I've heard it a lot. And so I've gone back and forth on it too. Like I think as recently as a couple months ago, we were talking amongst each other and we asked each other what we thought. And I think I wasn't all that high on it. And right now I'm feeling high on it from listening to it. And I had this idea struck me that even though the lyrics are very kind of bubbly and bright and certainly easy for someone to latch onto as like a summer song as to why it was probably so popular. We'll run away together, we'll spend some time forever, we'll never feel bad anymore. Like that's something that like a kid could like, or like an adult who's like trying not to worry about anything could like. But I really love how this song in a minor key, the music contrasted to the lyrics. I actually think it sounds like a sad song to me. Even the way he's singing, it sounds to me like this idea of someone who is like in a really hard place and they don't have any of these things that they want. Like they can't get a break, they can't spend time with the person they love, they are not free from worry, they do feel bad right now. And so like it sounds to me like it's like a last ditch effort. Maybe he's singing the song to someone like a partner who's feeling really down, and this is like him trying to cheer her up, but also he's really sad himself. And so like the chorus, once it ascends, we'll spend some time forever. I think it's really notable that the low vocal is still in there. Like he brings in the high octave, but the low vocal is also pretty dominant. They're kind of equal in the mix. And so that chorus still sounds kind of sad to me. It doesn't sound like that much of a release. And then at the end of the tune, when we get this outro, which I think is so beautiful sounding, where he's singing "We'll Never Feel Bad Anymore," and he's just kind of riffing on it a little bit, and it fades out. That doesn't sound like a happy sort of resolve. It kind of sounds like he's like repeating this hopeful mantra to himself, that he doesn't actually, that isn't actually the case, but he is like trying to make himself feel it. So I think it's really cool that this is a sad song. To me, it strikes me as a sad song, and it's so popular and can be taken as a happy song as well. But I do think it has these cool wrinkles to it that not a lot of people could write. That cool contrast.
I wonder, like I totally hear the sadness in his voice, and I always interpret it to mean that like he doesn't give a shit. But it very well could be the meaning of that, like this is a depressing song, and it's like he's like the words are sort of like not matching exactly the way he's singing. And I want to point out, I think this is the first fade Weezer's done on a song.
I think so.
That's from you mentioning the...
Yeah. I can't think of anything else.
Rivers in early 1999 was not a worry-free guy, right? So when he wrote this song, he was at a point in his career, and I think in his personal life, where he really did not feel confident in himself, right? And I think that he really, really was searching for something at that time, 98, 99. So to me, it makes sense that you can hear melancholy in there, because I know that when he wrote it, he was not feeling very good about himself.
Yeah. So I think they popified it, they greenified it, and I think they also did that with Hash Pipe. I didn't know that those two were the oldest tunes, but it does kind of sound to me like Hash Pipe and Island in the Sun were these two songs that could have fit on different albums. They could have either been on albums that came prior or later albums, and they feel like they were produced in a way that made them fit this album. Whereas a lot of the other songs on the album, barring like maybe one or two exceptions, I have a hard time imagining them not on Green.
Sure.
but Island in the Sun and Hash Pipe do feel like they have this a bit more weight to them. And I like the fade out because it's also like a callback to old pop songs to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like a period of time where like all the old pop songs just always faded out.
A lot of them.
Yeah. They never knew how to end. It's like,
Yeah.
shall we go on to
Now
Crab?
we're getting into the really good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious as to where we're gonna get. Okay, Kevin,
Yeah.
are the lyrics to Crab whack?
Yes, they are whack. I mean, I thought there was gonna be more than 2 songs that I considered whack, but then after like going over it many times, like these are the 2. So, Crab is to complain. I mean, this isn't as whack as a Hash Pipe. I mean, I can go back and go over some lyrics that were in that, but anyway, it doesn't matter now.
Well, Hash Pipe to me is always, and has always, I've always interpreted it as being told from the point of view of like an LA sex worker.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I interpret that song. Like, I think it's pretty. I've always thought it was pretty clearly about that.
Okay,
but Crab is a little more ambiguous. Yeah.
I think it's like the response to Tired of Sex in a lot of ways, because like Tired of Sex is about like being tired of sex, and this is Crab at the booty. Taint gonna do
there you go.
Taint gonna do no good. So the idea is like getting mad at your love interest is not gonna do you any good, or like your desire. Getting mad at them is not gonna help you in any way. But I also don't know what this word Crab at the booty tis not, and then they take the word tis and tis ain't. Like where's the
what?
Okay,
Taint?
The word taint.
Yeah, you want to hear what the origin of taint?
Yeah.
No, I know what taint means.
I think that he's saying that ain't gonna do no good.
Oh, that I thought it was.
I've always
tis.
I've always looked at it as a contraction of that ain't.
Okay, that
right?
ain't. Okay,
Taint.
gotcha. Okay.
That's one guy's opinion.
I think that's what it is too. That ain't.
Uh-huh.
This is the beginning of the pattern of where there's a solo of the final part of the song that gets played at the very beginning to introduce the song. It happens without fail for the rest of the album, which I think kind of solidifies this kind of generic feeling for the rest of the album too. I think the first 4 songs were more unique than the rest of these. I'm not sure what to make of what these lyrics are supposed to mean. I think it's like, Crab, if you want her, she won't be coming down. Like, it's basically like, you can get mad all you want. You're not gonna get what you want, basically.
Totally.
That's all I can really feel about it. And like just saying booty and taint and knickers.
It's kind of admirable. Who else would do it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not against it. I'm just saying that like compared to the rest of the album, it is like a unique song lyrically.
It's a unique song in Weezer's discography, period. I don't like, I've spent a lot of time on the online communities with Weezer.
Yeah.
There are few songs that are more divisive and polarizing than Crab. There's a couple, but Crab is up there. Crab would be in like the top 3 like most polarizing Weezer songs.
Yeah,
for sure.
A bold placement too. Think about the other, if you want to call them side A enders of Blue and Pinkerton, 10-song albums. If you get this on an LP, this is your last song before you flip it. So you're going up against Undone, the Sweater Song, Across the Sea, and Crab. It is a statement piece.
Yeah.
I mean, starting with the intro, which ends up becoming a trend. I think this is one of the better uses of it. I really like that guitar effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really cool melody that's being played. They use a similar effect during the solo, and I think that makes the solo distinct, even though the solo is just the vocal melody we've heard. So I think the guitar work in this song goes a long way in making it stand out.
It's sort of hard to get perspective over like which opening solo was the best, because when it happens so often. But yeah, this could be the best one of them, of the bunch.
I've always, since the first time I heard the Green Album, I've always liked Crab. Crab was a song that, again, I didn't know that it was controversial until I started to like dive in a little deeper into the Weezer world. I always thought that it was when I was first getting to know the Green Album, I thought it was one of the better songs on it, right? It's got some interesting musical moments. It's one of the only songs on the Green album that has like, other than Hash Pipe, that has like a riff, right?
Yeah.
Bow, 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 right?
I guess that would be chromatic too, right?
Yeah, totally chromatic.
Goes out of the
Yeah,
key.
exactly. It's got some really interesting chord progressions that are not, the chord progressions themselves aren't chromatic. The whole song is in the key of sort of like C/A minor. But within that key, he's using some interesting chords that you wouldn't necessarily think to put in the order he's putting them in.
Yeah.
Like what's the intro? Dun, C, dun, 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 then like E minor, and then like D minor after that E minor is a really, it's sort of like almost, I won't get too technical about like the theory, but it's sort of like a backwards chord progression. Like when he hits that E minor, your ear just is kind of naturally wanting him to go to maybe like an F or back to the C or up to a G or something like that. Like there's these things in music theory called tendency tones that basically say that when your ear hears this, it expects to hear this after.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I get that, yeah.
And Crab is one of the times where he plays with you, and he's in that intro to Crab, he's setting your ear up to want something, and then he's denying it. Right.
Do you know all the chords to all the songs?
Yeah.
Okay, you just have them in your head. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So afterwards, you're gonna perform all the songs for us.
On the Green album, I could.
Okay, great.
I think it's one of the more interesting songs musically, not necessarily in terms of the arrangement, which is of course exactly like every other song on the album, but music, what's going on sort of under the hood musically is pretty interesting in my opinion. And I love the harmonies in it, like because Rivers. It's actually, and it's also one of the few times on the album that Rivers goes up into his like the higher part of his voice, right? Right.
Yeah.
And the harmony actually hangs out underneath it, right? And it's just a really nice, pleasing harmony, and and that's what makes it so I don't mind it. It's actually one of the longer solos on the Green album too. I don't mind it when he's doing the solo. I don't get bored because he's actually doing the vocal harmonies as part of the solo too.
I love that.
Right? So it comes in as kind of like a duet. Like it's sort of like a bit of a guitar duet. Aside from the lyrics, which are goofy and weird and clumsy and but also very, very funny.
Yeah, they're kind of endearing.
I think it's one of the better songs on the Green album. Like I'll put, like, that's the camp that I fall into on the Crab debate. Like I think it's a pretty good song. They also put out, this was another one that, like Photograph, they put out a live soundboard version of this on their website.
Yeah.
Around Christmas time of 2001. Just with a exact same arrangement, just with a different solo. And even though I like the solo on the album version, I think it totally works. It just sounded cool. Like it's just like, it's cool. It was very cool to hear it with kind of like a little more raw sounding because it was live and with a different kind of melodic thing happening in the solo. I think Crab's great. I think it's great.
I remember, I think I says to you, I think I saw you last weekend. I was just like, the song gets a lot of hate. But it's like, if someone played it on stage tonight, I'd be like, I would just love to.
Dude,
be amazing to see
if
it.
Teenage Fiction had, like, if I wrote Crab, it would be like one of the better songs I've written. You know what I mean? Like,
Don't be so hard on yourself, man. Come on.
No, dude, I know I'm a good songwriter. I'm a fan of my own work, but if I had Crab in my repertoire, I would be very pleased with that.
I agree. Yeah, I think I have a distinct memory of the first time I listened to Green album. This felt like it was the coolest discovery of the album for me.
Okay.
It was one of my favorites because, I knew Hash Pipe, I knew Island in the Sun, but this one really did stand out to me. I hadn't heard anyone even ever say the title, I think, and I really love the verse melody, the call and response thing, which might be an instance of a little bit of Brian Bell backing vocals.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because they do the call and response, and I just love this melody where Rivers does the melismatic thing of doing da-da-da, like he's singing one syllable but making it multiple syllables, and then they respond, but they don't do the little dance. They just hold the note, so that he goes, "Won't be coming down," and they go down, down, down. I think that's really cute and cool. And like I said earlier, like a lot of these songs just come down to how much you like the melodies, and I really love this melody. I could not do without, but I like the melody less of the B section. She said she's feeling lonely. I said that's okay. I think the songwriting, if they had just like, not songwriting because it's all there, but if the arrangement had just been a bit different, like I don't think I like how Pat is just hanging out and not hitting the snare on that section, because they do that trick a few times on the album where he's just doing these and he's not hitting the snare, and so that kind of bums me out. I also think it's kind of striking and in a not cool way how it comes out of that section. He's on the C chord, and then that section starts on the C chord too, as opposed to changing. She said she's feeling lonely. That starts on the same chord that the previous section ended on.
Oh, okay,
and that always has just sounded kind of weird to me. That being said, like there's a lot to like about this tune, and I do think the lyrics are just kind of quirky in a funny way. I think it's crab could be like a synonym for a lot of words in this instance. Like it could be complain. I think the first time I heard it, I took it as like cry. Like it's kind of it sounds similar to the word cry, which would mean complain. And it's just this idea of like if you complain too much, if you're not cool, she's gonna put her knickers back on. She's gonna leave. You're not gonna get the booty. And it's just
and that ain't gonna be no good.
That's not gonna be any good. So it's sort of like one of the first examples of Rivers' really weird lyricism coming into play. Stuff that he would just like really go hard at in much later albums. And so I like it for that reason. And I also like how the solo comes back in the last few Crab If You Want Us. At the very end, you can hear the solo come back where it's playing the same melody, but that's just a cool classic songwriting trick where you just bring the guitar in just to make the climax of the song.
Yeah, that happens in some other songs too. I can't remember which ones, but yeah, and maybe even in Maladua too.
What did you think about Crab? Because Liam and I are both pro
We're
Crab.
pro Crab.
We're like obviously
Yeah,
pro
no.
Crab.
So the thing is, like, I'm not. I mean, I'm not anti-Crab. It's
anti-Crab.
That's exactly what someone who's anti-Crab would say.
no. So like for a lot of these songs, this is the only song on like. So I have like this sort of like theory planned out of like going A B C, guitar solo A B C A. So like Island in the Sun, you're saying that like the A and the B part are actually kind of just part of the verse, just being a variation.
That's how I look at it.
So like I can see how it's, and this one right here, I can kind of separate them as being the variation or being two different parts. But for Crab, that whole first A section, I can't divide them. Crab, if you wanna, she won't be coming down, down, down. Crab, if you wanna, she'll be coming down. That is like definitely one section.
Totally,
no debate about it. And so on this, for this song, I have it. It has like the least amount of parts in it to me. It has an A section, then an A section again, then a B section, then an A section with a solo, then a B section, and then it ends on an A section. So it's like the least amount of like I guess like phrases being told.
So this is an AABA as well.
Yeah, like AAB ABA.
Yeah, it's just a variation on AABA.
Yeah. It's to me it's the most straightforward version of it on the album. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's really hard for me to like really hate or love some of these songs. Like they're just like they kind of sort of meld together in a lot of ways. Like yeah, it's a great song. It's I can't say that like I'm gonna give it all my love.
That's cool.
But no, but
I want. I'm trying to get a feel for because I want to know. I want to know like I'm trying to figure out if Kevin likes crab. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'll put it this way: that there are other songs that happen after this song that I appreciate more.
Okay, that's fair.
Just as my own feeling. Yeah.
Cool, man.
So the next song is Knockdown Drag Out.
Yeah.
Again, same old opening solo thing. I really don't have a lot to say about this song, which is kind of like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, these songs kind of just, I enjoy them, but I'm just like, they're kind of disposable, I guess. Yeah.
I think this is a really good song.
Yeah.
It has the I don't know if we I would hesitate to call like so many songs on this album. I would hesitate to call it the chorus, but the part that's like, it's all that I can do right now. I'll make it up to you somehow. Right? Mm-hmm. Those chords are so beautiful and they're chromatic. He's going through it's a thing called a secondary dominant. Again, I won't get into the weeds of what that is, but it's basically introducing a bit of color, a bit of chromaticism into the song by going outside of the key signature, right? And also by obscuring your ear's sense just for a little bit of what's the center of the song in terms of like the chords that make it up. And also the other thing about that part of the song that I love, and I love it more every time I listen to it, is what his harmonies are doing there. Even though it is just Rivers harmonizing with himself, which I'm not crazy about.
It actually is. You actually know for a fact that it's not like Brian doing it with him.
Oh, it's 100% Rivers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's Brian is on.
That's super disappointing that they actually didn't get anybody else.
Yeah. Even though I'm not crazy about the fact that it's Rivers harmonizing with himself.
Yeah.
The way that the harmony pulls against those chromatic chords in there, it's dissonant, which it's one of the few times on the Green album that we hear like real dissonance, right? And it's that really nice kind of dissonance that Rivers is really good at, and to me it is like a quite a nice moment on the album, just that one section there. But I think all of it, I think it's a really catchy song. I've always really, really liked it. Yeah, that's what I have to say about Knockdown Drag Out. I like every other song on the Green album, it doesn't, I don't think this is one where you can look too deep at the lyrics. I think it's pretty much surface level. This is what the song is about. It's about, having a disagreement or some kind of argument with an important person, probably an intimate person.
Yeah.
And really, really, really hoping that you were, and wishing that you were on the other side of that.
I guess the only thing that it's a reoccurring theme with Rivers' lyrics is that like he's always waiting for I guess in this case the woman to make the move. Any day now, you'll call me up on the phone.
Mm-hmm. It's passive. He's passive. You're totally right.
Yeah. But I think some other lyrics on this album mention that too. And if you're wondering if I want you to, I want you to. So make a move, because I ain't got all night. It's kind of I don't know.
He's kind of like the wallflower.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
What do you got to say about this song?
I really like this song too. I like it the same way I like Crab, to be honest, which I didn't really realize until now. Having them back to back on the album, though, it just really comes down to, I just really dig that initial melody. Because I think this one also has a less distinguished chorus than something like Hash Pipe. I think it's maybe a bit more distinguished than Crab. I think Sandy is right that it's all that I can do right now is make it up to you somehow, whereas Crab doesn't really have that.
Yeah.
But both Crab and Knockdown Drag Out, like right when the verse hits, I feel like that's the hook of the song. Mm-hmm. That's a cool melody too, where he's like singing on the snare drum. Mm-hmm. It's like the words are on the offbeat. And I really I just dig like the driving nature of this song. I like the brief B section where you say you love me now.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that it evolved into something. Like he hits that, and then we get into the solo, which is the verse melody, and then we go back to a section we've heard before.
Just to interrupt it, like there's a lot of songs on this album where there's this kind of like weird like tail end of like a chorus, like that I got my hash pipe, or say you love, like little short segments that kind of like conclude a course, or quote unquote course. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, there is that, and I think that's a really cool songwriting trick, and I would like it more if then we got something different after it.
Yeah.
And I think the solo would have been a great section for that. If the solo was different than the verse melody, then it would feel like, okay, that little B section is prepping us for this other change. But I think one of the flaws of Green Album to me is once you're halfway through the song, you're just going to get the first half of the song again. And that's just, that's a lot of pop songs, but it's sort of the opposite of the kind of songs I tend to gravitate to, the kind of songs I tend to write, where the second half of the song, even if you're following like the same verse and chorus and stuff like that, should feel I like when it feels distinct from the first half, because it feels like you've built towards something, you've realized something. What came before is now affecting the way you're presenting what's going to come afterwards.
Yeah.
And so to have a lot of these songs go from a bridge section, a solo section, and then just go back to the B section that we had just heard prior kind of bums me out.
But I'll give it a little bit of credit. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but whoa, Jesus, you cat. No, they do that sometimes.
Yeah.
It shows they're very comfortable in front of you. But, anyway,
they got to get comfortable after these people have been talking about Weezer in their house for 15 hours now.
but something that I'll give some credit for the song at the very end. The take no prisoners in this. The drums kind of get a little more spontaneous, a little more rocky, and then I'm crazy, but I think the bass kind of rises a little bit.
Okay.
Plays a bit of an octave at one point, and then kind of goes back down again. I'm like, holy shit, that sounded a little bit different. They did a slight variation of the A section at the very end.
The producer didn't notice. Mikey got away with it.
He was getting a coffee at the time. He didn't hear it happen. But it was like well, we're waging on each and for I can't sing it anyway. I swear to God, the cymbal and the snare drum have a little fun. The bass goes a little bit high.
Sure.
I swear to God, I'm making this up. Check it out.
One of the things that you made me think of there, where you're just talking about sort of on the Green Album, how like if you've heard the first half of the song, you've heard the next half of it, right?
Yeah.
I remember some discourse on the message boards around then, like around late 01, kind of going into 02, which is when I was pretty active on the Weezer boards at that point. One of the things that I remember people really griping about on the Green Album, and I think that they were right, is that for the most part, the songs have no sense of climax, right? Whereas if you look at even the most straightforward Weezer songs from previously from the Blue Album or Pinkerton, I don't know that you could call any of those songs straightforward. They're kind of deceptively straightforward, but they're not really. Even the simplest ones, like something like No One Else or Surf Wax or something like that, like they have a sense of like the song is building up into a certain point, and then there's a big moment where it releases, and you get this really nice, satisfying sort of like release of this tension that had been building throughout the song, right? And that for the most part, the Green Album songs don't have that. And I can remember a lot of people on the boards around then saying that, like, like that's what's missing on this album is like the Weezer climax, right? Which was such a characteristic element of their sound on the previous two albums.
Yeah, and I think, they tried it. I don't know if they tried to, because if they were really trying to, they would have done it because they're capable of it. But they do a few little details that like does make the end of the song a bit different. Like on Crab, they do the same trick actually on Crab and Knockdown Dragout, where they just have the solo come in and play the same melody over the end. But yeah, it doesn't feel like enough for a lot of these songs. Whereas I think Island in the Sun has it, even though it's a fade out, like him repeating "We'll Never Feel Bad Anymore."
Yeah.
That feels like a distinct ending to me. And even Hash Pipe, it ends with the same riff going on. I got my hash pipe in it. We've heard it before, but
It's more smashy drums.
more smashing drums. Pat goes over to the crash cymbal, and that feels like a driving ending. Whereas these tunes in the middle here don't really have it, but they're also just so short that it's kind of nice when you're in the mood for it to have something like Crab and Knockdown Dragout right in the middle there. Just nice, pleasant melodies.
Totally, yeah.
They also played this song when we saw them separately in Montreal in 2002.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I probably didn't even know what I was hearing.
Yeah, it was 2 minutes long, right? You blink and you miss it. I should say that I think it's nice that it comes after Crab because it has all these similarities that I've talked about. And when sequencing an album, sometimes you want to avoid those similarities, but sometimes I think it makes that part of the album flow nice. And I think this part of the album does flow nice. But coming after Crab with that really cool riff in Crab, da-na-na-na-na-na, after I hear that in the middle of the album, I expect it in like a bunch of other songs. Like I expect it to hit in the middle of Knockdown Dragout because you could really put it anywhere, especially because all these songs are like in 4/4. They're all so similar
and
in that
in very
way.
very similar keys.
Keys, yeah, they do a lot of like A and D and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I've listened to Knockdown Dragout, I keep expecting the Crab riff to hit, and I don't get it. It actually kind of bums me out.
We should make like a little edit of that.
The Crab edit?
Yeah, the Crab edit. Of just go snipping out a Crab. I might try that.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a message from me like a month from now, and you're gonna be like, that motherfucker.
Yeah, I want to hear it on every Green Album song. Like, what would it be like in Island in the Sun?
We'll never feel bad anymore.
It's a great riff, though. It's a testament to the coolness of that riff.
Something that I can appreciate about a lot of the songs on this album is I find like a lot of the melodies are not very repetitive. They kind of like sort of like have like their own little story, and then the next part has its own little story. And I think Smile is a good example of that. Like na 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 na. Anyway, like it's not like I'm me, be me, goddamn I. Like it's more of like a flowy kind of, not quite across the sea extent complication, but like they're like a full like phrase, and like it doesn't repeat itself until it comes back to it later on in the song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I mean, you guys are probably going to disagree with me on this, but I have some affection for this song. I don't know what else to really say about it. I mean, I don't.
What do you like about it?
Yeah. What's the affection?
My affection, I guess, can be at the beginning of the quote unquote C part.
I can't be gone,
darling, for very long. Just that one part right there, is my favorite part of the album.
Wow.
But then how it resolves, I don't really care much about. But
where it's like, never know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, that part, like, it's not like that first part sounds like so old school, like from like the 50s or something.
Totally.
Like, I can't be gone, and the guitar's dropping down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And is there harmony going on in there? With
Totally. There's the entire song.
Oh, it's all harmony. Yeah,
yeah. He's harmonizing with himself the whole time. Pretty
okay.
much. Yeah.
But yeah, I also, I don't know. I don't know if these lyrics really mean anything, or just kind of like, it just seems kind of like, who gives a shit in a lot of ways. Like the lyrics themselves. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
I'm gonna let you go, Liam. I'm curious. To know.
Okay.
I think that's a strong endorsement from Kevin, though.
Yeah.
That one spot is beautiful, though. It's like it's very like romantic almost.
Yeah, totally.
I totally agree with you. I think it might be my favorite moment on the album too, to be honest. And if not, it's at least like it might be my favorite singular melody on the album, I suppose.
Yeah.
This song, the first time I listened to Green Album, was the other one that really stood out to me, where I was like, people need to talk about this song. I think it was particularly because once it hit that melody, I loved. But I think it has a cool characteristic on this album where it's still distorted power chords, but it feels like a ballad, which is really cool. But I will say that for a few reasons, I guess this song has worn off me a lot since I first heard it. That melody hasn't worn off me.
Yeah.
But like you, I'm not wild about where they settle on. I think it's because I don't like the way he's singing the rest of the song. Like he's doing the island in the sun thing, the don't let go thing, where he's kind of low down there and sounding kind of despondent. And this one in particular, it kind of sounds like he's singing with like peanut butter in his mouth throughout the tune. Like when he says, "I'll make it happen," right?
I'll make it
happen.
Is that possible? That was like a technique. They put peanut butter in your mouth before you sing.
Yeah, I got some major label asshole putting peanut butter in my mouth. Imagining Rick Ocasek with a big spoon and just like force feeding the peanut butter in.
We need more peanut butter.
And I'll say, similar to Don't Let Go, this is a tune where I think it is just a victim of how it was recorded, what they captured here, because I've heard live versions of this song that I absolutely love, and because I really do, I like that chorus melody in Concept. I don't want to break your fine face, I can't take. I like the lyrics as well, but there's just something about the way he sounds on the actual recording here that doesn't quite strike me and ends up boring me a little bit. And then the structure of the song has a lot of similar complaints that I said, where after the solo we just get the same section as that we've heard before. But it's like it's worth it to be on the album just because I really do also just love that walk down melody. And I do think the lyrics are just like a cute little love song where you don't want to leave the person you're with, and you're also kind of I interpret the chorus as like he's even afraid to be with her because he doesn't want to do something that will make her not smile anymore. I don't want to break your fine face, I can't take the way you want to wrap me up in your smile.
I think that like these lyrics kind of do feel like a song from the 50s, 60s. Like I would accept that from that era, I guess, but I wouldn't accept it from Weezer, I guess.
Sure, yeah. And if that is what he means with the lyrics, I think that makes that bridge section even more impactful, because he's saying, I can't take the way you want to wrap me up inside your smile. He's saying that like it's too much pressure. She's too beautiful for him. He doesn't want to mess things up. But then in the bridge where we do get this cool like C-section, we get this cool C-section that actually feels like it has a reason. Like I said in Knockdown Dragout, when he says "Say you love me now," that's a bit of a different section, but it feels like it doesn't actually have much of a purpose.
Yeah.
This little bridge section feels like it has a purpose, because the music is now changing as his perspective is changing. He's saying, I can't take the way you want to wrap me up in your smile, but I can't be gone for too long, because like her smile keeps drawing him back. He wants to stay away because he's afraid of messing it up, but also like he can't resist, And I think that's a sweet sentiment. So this song ends up being kind of middle of the pack to me, despite having stuff I love in it.
You made me appreciate the lyrics more than I knew. Yeah.
What about you, Sandy? Where are you at?
This one is like you guys, I think really highly of Smile. I think it's one of his my favorite part, and I love the part you guys are talking about too, that sort of that descending sort of classic melody part there.
Yeah.
But my favorite part about it is actually the verse. The chord progression in the verse is pretty sophisticated.
Yeah.
There's a really nice diminished chord in it, which
Wanted some.
you
make it-
wanted some love, I'll make it happen,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
And
he's switching chords a lot, isn't he?
yeah, and the that part in there has a there's a musical thing called a line cliche, which basically means that you're playing in chord, you're doing a series of like maybe 3 chords, right?
Yeah.
And within those chords, you can do a chromatic, so like going up by semitones, sort of walk up,
Yeah.
right? So in that one, he's going like B is the first chord of that part, right? B, you wanted some love, and then he goes to that like, I don't even know if it's. I got into an argument once with somebody on the Weezer message board about
It's the wrong chord, man.
about whether it's like a C diminished or like an inverted F sharp diminished. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He goes there, but it's a diminished chord with a C in the bass, right? So he's gone B to like diminished chord with C in the bass up to C sharp minor.
Oh, cool.
So he's going B, C, C sharp, which is a line cliche. And it's really nice. It's one of these really nice sort of romantic, traditional, classic song things.
So line cliche is just basically 3 notes right up against each other.
Yeah, but you have to do, but it's done in like a certain way where like it's contained within the chords.
Okay.
Right? So you're not just randomly playing 3 semitones for no reason. It's those 3 semitones exist within the chord, right? Within the chord, the chord progression you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So that's really, really, really nice. There's actually a good one in Heart Shaped Box by Nirvana as well, where Kurtz starts. I mean, it's tuned in half step down, but for the intents and purposes, I'll pretend the song is in standard tuning.
Yeah.
So he's going A, F, and then D7, right? That's the chords in Heart Shaped Box, right? A minor, but it's A. So he's going in A. There's an E. That's the fifth of the chord.
I think
right?
I know what you're talking about now.
And
Yes.
then,
Okay,
and
I
then,
get it.
And when he goes to the F,
Yeah.
F is a semitone up from E. And then when he goes to the D major, there's an F sharp in D major, right?
Yeah.
So within that chord progression, there is a stepwise movement up, E, F, F sharp.
I get.
Right?
I get what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's really, really, really nice. We just our ears love it, right? And my ear loves that part of Smile. And I taught myself how to play Smile on the piano.
Yeah.
It's one of the few songs that I can play on piano all the way through, and
cool.
it sounds so nice, right? Like I go sit down at my parents' piano and start noodling out Smile, and my mom will be like, "What is that? That's really beautiful." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, totally."
Now, if we have time, you should do it later on. Yeah.
I'll have to rehearse it, but I'd be happy to try it.
No pressure. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to put it on the spot.
No, man. Like I'll try. I'll give it a shot. I haven't played it in a few years, but yeah, I think Smile is a really good example of what makes Rivers good as a songwriter.
Yeah.
It's got a really nice melody, the sort of like deceptively simple chords that are actually pretty complex. He actually. I have to disagree a little bit that he sings the song kind of in his low place, because in the chorus there's actually there's a high bit too. I don't want to break your fine face. Those are fairly high. That's like this. Those are the same notes as in the chorus of "Say It Ain't So" and like all you know.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot. I think it, like every song on the Green album, it suffers because it's on the Green album. I would have loved to hear it. I would have loved to hear it with like if they're gonna do like the power chord ballad thing, I would have loved to hear it with like dirtier guitars and like, you know, a bit more going on in the rhythm section, but that's not what we got. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great song. I don't know if I think it's the best song on the album, but it's up there for me. I really, really like it.
It kind of reminds me of a tune from Maladroit, December, because that's also like a ballad that I wouldn't expect to be written with like crunchy power chords, and it is, or at least performed with crunchy power chords, but it could easily be performed on something like piano and sound just as fitting. So I think that's really cool that he was able to make this ballad and then kind of like Weezer it up a little bit, if that means putting crunchy power chords on it. But I would like to hear it in a different way, because I think the parts are all totally there, and I also wouldn't be surprised if this one grew back on me again, because some of these songs do kind of ebb and flow, especially because they what makes them differ sometimes isn't all that big, and so sometimes I'm in the mood for one thing and then I'm in the mood for another thing. So this definitely isn't my least favorite on the album. I'll tell you that.
Should we go on to Simple Pages?
Let's do it.
Does anyone else want to start it off? I don't know.
I'll do it.
All right,
I'll go it. I
Go
like
ahead,
Simple
Sandy.
Pages a
Yeah.
lot.
Okay.
But I will say
Yeah,
that for a long time, I would have said this was my favorite song on the Green album.
yeah.
It's dropped.
That
It's-
was wow.
Yeah.
So at the end of this, we're gonna guess what each other's favorite and least favorite song in the album is, and we're gonna rank all the songs.
Yeah.
And I just from discussions I've had with Sandy in the past, I saw Sandy cover the song live with his band.
Oh, all right, crazy.
I was gonna be like, I don't even have to listen to what Sandy's gonna say. This is his favorite tune. So so I want to hear why.
Yeah, so it's I really like it. I think this is another song on the album that's about Rivers' career, and I think really obviously so. He's singing about wanting success. I think that's what this song's about. And I think that when he says "Simple Pages on My Mind," he's referencing the songs on the Green album, that they're very simple and that he wants them. Yeah, I 100% think that this is a song about his career, and that he give me some love on the Hard Rock Radio.
I saw the lyric right now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think 100% that's what it's about. So I think that in that way, "Simple Pages" is one of the more personal songs on the album, right?
It literally says like, okay, give me some love, sugar on the Hard Rock Radio, where they play the tunes, where they play the riffs with the hard rock beat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's pretty straight. It sounds like he might be referring to himself.
100%.
Yeah,
I think
crazy,
he's it "Simple Pages" is also one of the so I think it's one of the more personal songs on the album. I think it means something to him, because that's what he wanted at that point in his life. Was he wanted commercial success, right? I think that it's one of the heavier songs on the album, which I like. It's not. You could make an argument that it's not in. You could make an equally good argument for it being in F sharp minor or A major, because those are keys that are really, really closely related. But he starts it on that F sharp minor, which gives the song a minor feel, even if most of it is in A major. And I think it's a cool vocal melody. It's like sort of the start of Rivers rapping, which
True, it is kind of rappy, eh?
Yeah, and he never really did anything like that before.
Maybe El Scorcho, but it wasn't quite rappy. It was more melodic than
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think it's really cool, and I think it's another like AABA song. Like but it's kind of got a little bit of a bridge that like, give me something I can believe.
Yeah, is that a tail of the B part, or is that like its own section?
Yeah, I don't know. And then of course the other reason I like it is because in the outro we have Brian. So the outro is one of the most Weezer sounding moments on the album, in my opinion, because Brian is there doing something other than an ooh ooh.
And I also I gotta give it. This is like one of the points of the album where like it kind of almost breaks through to being like a really great album. It's like at the end, all that vocal interplay that is happening.
Totally.
It was like, holy, this is like similar to The World Has Turned Left Me Here. Like,
totally.
Like all this over, like I was like, oh my God. And then Rivers just stopped singing. He's like, no, wait a second, I shouldn't have done that. Like, Jesus Christ, if you just like started going higher and like you could have made this giant climax to this song.
He does raise a little bit though, right? Like
but I needed more from him.
Yeah, I know. But it is also one of the few times in the album, I think,
Yeah.
where his voice sounds genuinely emotional to me at the end there, right? where he's saying, give me some love, you know, can't you see you're just me, like turn these, that's one of the few times on the album where
yeah, he's kind of getting a bit whiny. Yeah.
I feel like he's genuinely emotional there as well. Yeah, I love it. I think I've always thought, like, since the first listen of the Green album, I've always thought it's one of the best songs on the album.
Yeah.
This one is also divisive and a little bit polarizing.
Really?
Not to the level of Crab.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but if you like Google like Reddit rankings of the Green album, you'll see a few, more than a few, have Simple Pages in like the bottom 3 songs of the album, which I think is just absolutely insane. I love it, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So this, to be honest, I feel like I've said this more times than I expected to. So this, when I listened to this album the first time, I was like, this song is sick. This one is really standing out to me. It shocks me that people would have this near the bottom. I mean, you know, I guess liking a melody is subjective, but I just love that initial melody that starts the song. Like that melody is so good, similar to Crab, where I feel like the song doesn't even need a chorus. Like that verse feels like the chorus to me because that melody is so catchy. And I also, for some reason, really like the solo, even though it's probably the most simple solo of all of them.
Yeah, it's like 2 notes.
It's 2 notes. He's not even playing the full melody, but
there's the harmony.
Yeah, there's the harmony, and I guess I just like that initial melody so much. And even all that aside, this song feels like it has a climax, and I love that. And so that surprises me that people don't take to that. I'm such a sucker for vocal melodies overlapping.
Yeah,
like, I didn't know what a harmony was most of my life, not until a couple of years ago. But I did know. I did take note of when people sang different things over each other. Like a lot of emo bands do that, or like emo-ish bands like Taking Back Sunday does that a lot, where they have 2 singers who are both good singers, and so they'll just sing different things, different melodies, and they'll overlap.
Yeah.
And I love that this tune does that at the end, and the fact that I've loved the melody so much to begin with, to hear that, and then to hear Rivers building on it and doing what feels like a climax when he says, "Can't you see you're just me? Turn these pages on my mind." And that lyric to me is really simple, and I think someone could easily discard it. But the way he's singing it on top of all this stuff makes it feel like it's like the lyric of the album to me. So I really dig this. I love the thick guitar tone on this one. It kind of feels like In the Garage, where I feel like that thick power chord just feels like it suits this song almost better than it has any other tunes. In fact, I actually wrote down that the thick guitar tone reminds me of Sandy's band Teenage Fiction. I don't know if that's just because I saw you guys cover it or not, but you have songs as well where you just have that like Candy Flip, where it's just this really thick, cool tone. I love the little walks that happen on the guitar, where it's like, God, when I say walk, and when I've written in my notes, da na 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 na, I can just think of Crab. But they do this, give me some love.
Yeah.
I love that walk. I love that part. The only part I'm not all the way into is the give me something I can believe part. Just at least the first chord that starts it. It kind of feels like the whole song has this forward momentum, and then when they hit that chord, and I think Pat is doing that thing that I talked about earlier, where there's no snare, just doing this build. I like the intent because I really like the release of the solo, and so I like that they're stopping for a second and building up to the solo. But for some reason, just the chord that they hit right at the beginning there is kind of off-putting to me. But then it relaxes right back into the rest of the tune and builds up to this outro. So I think this is like a huge standout on the album. I want to hear what you think.
I think that like people take for granted when you have like, I don't want to say conflicting vocal melodies going over top of each other. Like sometimes that doesn't work. Like you can write 2 melodies and when you put them on top of each other and it sounds like crap. And like I can we'll eventually get to some Weezer songs where maybe I think that, but like
Sure, yeah,
I think in
yeah.
this case right here, I think it was a very beautiful ending. I was like, holy shit! They're doing something that's like this was a very unique moment on the album when that happened for me. I thought it was super unique and it was like exciting. And I'm just like, God damn it, just go a little bit longer. And like, anyway, I was happy with it. I'm very curious about this "Oh Baby" part with Photograph.
Is it Photograph? Uh-huh.
Is that a sample of Photograph or vice versa? I'm not sure what's going on here.
You said when we did the Blue album
Yeah.
that you could like isolate things in your headphones, like you isolated.
Oh, yeah.
Or it might have been Pinkerton. Where it was Pinkerton
was-
because you said that Matt's vocals were like out of tune with the rest.
And El Scorcho, yeah, he's saying in the El Scorcho chorus, his voice goes out of tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you can isolate the "Oh Baby" in each song and just do a CSI analysis where you put them
Yeah.
next to each other.
See if they're in the same key or not even.
It's in the same key.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good chance that it's going to be this.
Story
Yeah.
checks out.
Well, it's what I was saying before, right? Like Photograph is solidly in A major.
Yeah.
Simple Pages, you could make an argument for it being an F sharp minor, but F sharp minor, it has all the same notes as A major. It's just you start at a different point on the scale, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. I know that. Isn't it? If you start at F sharp minor, wouldn't it be? I'm even thinking about it wrong because so C major and A minor are
the same. Yeah, so it's called a relative minor.
Yeah, exactly. So you're saying that A major and F sharp?
Yeah, they're the same. It's the same kind of relationship. Every major key has what's called a relative minor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to think of the pattern on the keyboard.
So for A, right?
Yeah.
Key of A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, right? And then if you those are the notes in A major, right?
Yeah.
So the way that a relative minor works is you use the exact same notes, but you start building on the 6th degree of the scale.
I was thinking about it backwards.
Right.
Well, another way to think about it too is just you just do thirds, right? So A is the minor, and then C, if you do a third of A, is the relative major of it, right?
Yeah.
So F sharp, okay, now I see it.
You see it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was thinking about it backwards. I was thinking A's doesn't have anyway. Yeah, okay, I got you.
So you could they are for all intents and purposes they're in the same key.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you could. The only thing that I'm thinking about the Oh Babies is like the songs are like very different tempos.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but maybe like.
But you could stretch and you can do stuff for sure. That doesn't exclude it. But that's the only thing because I've been thinking about that a little bit since you said that, on and off, and I'm like, but they are very different tempos.
I heard the "Oh Baby" in Simple Pages. I'm like, where have I heard that before? And I
10 minutes
Kevin,
ago.
did you start the Oh Baby
No,
rumor?
I didn't. I literally went online and I said, I can't remember what I wrote. I wrote something in and like someone talked about it like on Reddit or something like, and someone was theorizing that it was a sample. Anyway.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, I mean the same old structure as like the other 6 songs. But yeah, I never thought about the deeper meaning of it. Yeah, I totally didn't get any of that. But yeah, I got no hate, man.
Cool.
Glorious Day.
This right here, when I first knew this album, this was like one of my favorite songs on it.
Nice.
And like now I'm just like, maybe it's not as good as I thought it was.
Where did I rank this one?
I always loved the first part of the glorious children on my mind.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. I know that's what he was saying.
That is exactly what he's saying.
Uh-huh.
I haven't really been able to make heads or tails of that yet.
This one is really weird to me because
Yeah.
I think most of the lyrics again are in reference to his career and his he gonna hit the ground with a brand new sound, right? Gonna make my move, gonna make it stay, gonna make it last, never mind the past, living for today. I think it's about the Green album, this one. I've always thought that.
Are the glorious children his fans, perhaps?
Maybe the songs.
Oh, okay.
Oh, true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like I've heard people say that like they can't pick their favorite song of theirs because they're like their kids or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
And also like especially with like movie making, and like it can happen with songwriting too, is that you got to kill your babies. Like the idea,
Right, yeah.
like even though you've created them, you got to accept that some of them are bad.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
saying that, you know, each song he writes is now, it's like an extension of him, a part of him. It's like his child. But then he's also being self-deprecating in the next line. Glorious wastings of my time. He's written a bunch of these songs. They're not even on albums. Like maybe those are just wastes of time.
Yeah. Or it could. I wonder if it could also be like. Maybe this is a bit of a stretch, but I wonder if you could also interpret that as like him saying that like he knows that he's kind of not writing at his full capability. Right?
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But that these wastings of his time, which are his children, will bring him glory.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
And he goes on to say, "Gonna rock it out, gonna scream and shout." I mean, this is another reference to rock music. Like
Totally.
I never, my Lord, I thought this was all gibberish. Like, Jesus Christ.
I the other thing that's interesting about this one is that he's playing power chords right throughout the verse, right? F sharp 5 power chord. It's an implied F sharp minor, A, and then like E, B, D. So we're solidly in F sharp minor here, right? But when he lands on the like gonna make my move, he doesn't land on the minor note of F sharp minor. He lands on the major note.
Yeah.
So he's giving you, it's very Beatlesy, it's very Nirvana-y. He's giving you a chord. Your ear is hearing this as a minor chord because when you play a power chord, you don't have the third, right? So if I just play an F sharp power chord, you can't tell just on its own
major or minor,
if it's major or minor.
Yeah.
You have to hear it in context with other chords around it for your ear to make that decision, right?
Yeah.
So the chords that he's putting around that F sharp power chord are telling your ear this is a minor key. But when he gonna make my move, he's singing the major note. And just for that moment, and then the next one, when he goes up to the A, gonna make it stay, it's chromatic. So it's like F sharp, E, B flat, and then the next melody is the exact same, except instead of going from the B to the B flat, he goes from B to A. So it's a really nice, playful melody that is evocative of the Beatles and Nirvana, because the Beatles and Nirvana did those things a lot, where they'd slip a major chord into a minor key progression, or vice versa, right? I've always loved that about Glorious Day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was happening.
Yeah, that's really interesting for me to hear that's what's going on, because I don't like that melody.
Okay.
And so
That's why, though.
actually,
Yeah.
it's really nice to actually hear that breakdown, because maybe that is why. I mean, I'd love to hear other examples of people doing that same thing,
Sure,
and see what I think of that. And it especially bums me out because the intro of this song, which is the trick that Kevin keeps talking about, where they are just playing a guitar melody of like the B section or the bridge, and it'll come back later. I love the way it sounds at the beginning of this tune.
Also because it's not the same. It's typical, just like drumming.
It's dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's this clean guitar. It's really beautiful, and so for that first verse to start the way it does, just totally kills the mood for me. It feels like the song is promising something else, and then it doesn't happen. And then, even more unfortunate, when we do return to that melody, "Glorious Children on My Mind," I don't like it as much when it's sang, at least the way it is, and within the song. I think it sounds much prettier on the guitar at the beginning.
This is a side note. Just it kind of is a bit of a throwback. We call it a throwback, a callback. Sorry, to like "Falling for You," like the opening to that song.
Sure, yeah.
And like one guitar's playing one thing, and the other one's playing a melody on top of it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and that's a great point, and I love that. And so really, that's like this one shining moment, kind of similar to the smile moment, where it's just something I love, and then the stuff that surrounds it I don't like as much. And I also don't like what might be the chorus or something, the right, fight, fight. I don't like the repetition of the word. I like the whatever they do like with the drums there, where it's this kind of kick.
Yeah.
Da, 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 do, da, da.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a nice little
Yeah.
hook, right?
I like that hook, but I don't like the vocals there, the way that sounds. So a lot of this song kind of does irk me a little bit. And they also do this trick on this song that they've done prior, where the solo will play a bit of the melody, and then the vocals will pick up where the solo left off.
Sure.
Yeah.
And at this point on the album, it does kind of feel needless to me. It's just like you're just using the guitar to substitute a bit of the verse, but you're not actually learning anything.
Yeah, I find it like so frustrating to hear all these solos like being played out this way. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. I think this album, when I talk about it as an album, like ranking Weezer albums, it goes near the bottom for me simply because of how samey a lot of this stuff is. Though if a lot of these songs, like basically any of them, even Glorious Day, were to come up on shuffle of a big Weezer playlist, I like them a lot more.
Yeah.
But hearing them 10 in a row is really tough for me. And I think
Yeah,
even
it's
if you
true.
shuffled the songs on this album, it's not a sequencing problem. It's simply just this is what all the songs are so similar. And so listening to them one after the other makes it really tough for me.
Yeah, totally. That's totally what you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got it.
I was one other thing I was gonna say is that they would bust this one out on the Green Album tour, and this was another one that you can get like a live sort of semi-official MP3 of from the soundboard of the tour. And again, just with like a different solo, it's a much cooler song. Yeah. I like Glorious Day. I wouldn't put it. I'm going to give you guys a spoiler. It's not in the top half of my Green album, right?
Okay.
But I like it. I think I like it just because it is in that verse that annoys the hell out of you.
Sure.
It is to me sort of evocative of some of that modal melody writing that I like in other bands. And I also like that it kind of, more so than some of the other ones on the album, by the time it gets to that chorus or whatever we're calling it, the bridge, maybe the Glorious Children on My Mind part, there's quite a wash of sound going on. Like it's like a wall of sound in a way that is almost shoegazy to me, right? Like there's a lot of fucking guitar and cymbals going on there.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty cool song. It's musically, again, it's that's always what I focus on, or not always, but a lot of the time is like, and it's what I focused on when I was doing my sort of rankings of this album, is like how musically interesting is the song underneath the boring production, because the production on this album fucking sucks, right? So like how musically interesting, like if we pop open the hood and think about this song as a theoretical thing, which Rivers said, excuse me, which Rivers said they all are, that this is a musical exercise for him, right? So that's sort of how I tried to look at it. And I think Glorious Day is pretty cool song. But it's again, I feel like if you were for any of the songs on this album, but I feel like for some reason for Glorious Day in particular, and maybe Don't Let Go, if you were going into this as like a diehard Pinkerton fan and heard fucking Glorious Day, I think you would be really bummed out. Like really, really bummed out.
Do we know what your friend who hated Don't Let Go thinks of Glorious Day?
I can't remember. I remember that she really liked Island in the Sun. She thought that was the best song on the album. She was last time we did this, I told you guys about like my internet online Nirvana girlfriend. This was her.
Wow.
So she was a bit older than me, and she was like into Weezer when she was like in high school and knew their catalog really, really well. So yeah, I remember she did not like Don't Let Go. I remember her exact words were, "This is nothing to write home about."
And that would have been words, right? Like
Yeah,
would have
that was on ICQ. And then I remember Island in the Sun. She thought was the best song on the album. I remember I seem to remember her thinking that Crab sucked.
Mm.
But I don't remember what she thought about Glorious Day. I know she didn't like the Green Album as a whole. She thought it was pretty lame.
Like I didn't. So like I remember when the Green Album came out, like I didn't realize I didn't like it until I became older, and I was like, well, yeah, I don't really like this. That's kind of like the feeling was.
I listened to it that summer of 2001. I listened to it every fucking day.
Okay, yeah.
Like every day. Yeah.
And you were super happy about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part. And it wasn't like when I got into Pinkerton a bit later in the summer, like towards the end of the summer, start of the school year that year.
Yeah.
It didn't make me like Green Album less. It just made me, I just got really fucking into Pinkerton.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But at no point was I ever like, this is bad. You know what I mean? I didn't get what the hubbub was. Like for me, I was always like, this is just what they are doing right now. You know what I mean?
And also I about all these songs, it'd be crazy to see like anybody do a cover of any of these songs live. I would have a great time. So like
why weren't you at the Rainbow on December 30th of 2022? Could have heard Teenage Fiction doing Simple Pages.
Played it? Yeah, I was with Reese out in Buckingham that night.
Oh yeah, because I remember because I asked you if you'd video a couple of the songs, and you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to be out of town.
I wasn't quite sure what was. I remember I messaged you. I'm like, I'll figure it out because I had my own Christmas and I have Christmas with Reese and her parents, and so that was that day. Anyway, shit, you should play it again.
Yeah, we could.
By the way, no pressure. You want to relearn it again.
Well, if we're ever gonna play it again, I'll tell you. And if you're not there, we'll never ever do it again.
Dude, man, no, man. Okay, we're playing a show together in June.
In June, you want us to bust out Simple Pages?
Well, I'll do it. We'll do a Weezer cover too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Fuck yeah.
Double Weezer covers.
Cool, man. I love it.
Maybe we can do a green song too. I don't know.
I don't know if you need to go that far. Let's not get crazy.
Let's do all Scorcho and fucking.
Get Devin. Do Island in the Sun because Devin loves it so much.
God.
Let me see him spice up that pre-chorus.
But okay, so the last song, and anything else you want to say about?
What did I hang on? I still don't know what you think about Glorious Day.
Yeah, so you said it was a favorite. What particularly made it a favorite, and how do you relate to those parts?
I mean, I loved it's probably because I just like that I call it the C part, but the intro is that was a great intro, and then when they played again as an actual band, I like that part. It's very thick guitars and like. Although I'm a little disturbed about this Glorious Children one of my
I
mind.
think I honestly think he's referring to his music.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure what I thought he was singing, but I did not know it was that. But yeah, no, it's kind of like na. I mean, I liked it and then I didn't like it. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the map with this one.
Okay.
You can probably guess it's not gonna be my favorite song. But is it the worst
You're
song?
You're hard to read,
You're
man.
tough not to crack.
You're very
You
enigmatic.
guys read each other? I can't read you guys either.
I think now that I know that Sandy explicitly said Simple Pages has grown off him a bit,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna nail it. I think I'm gonna be able to guess what his favorite is.
I don't think anybody's gonna get anything right for this round at all.
It is tougher than the last two albums.
I think you're gonna be able to guess mine.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna be able to guess my top. Yeah, I think so.
I'm making notes. I haven't like found anybody's bottom, so that's what I'm kind of having trouble with.
Still got one song left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's do it.
I'm gonna start off this one and like talk about it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Please do, man.
Well, I got a lot of notes on this one.
Wow.
Kevin wrote an essay over here.
Yeah, like this is Glorious Day. This is like old girlfriend.
Cool.
First of all, this song is the longest song on the album. Mm-hmm. It is 3 minutes and 49 seconds. I guess it's considered like an epic closer for the Green Album. Something that's not even 4 minutes long.
But at more than 3 minutes and 30 seconds, like it crosses the 3.5 minute mark.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty significant for the Green Album.
That's my point. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, this is their epic song. It again has that same old structure of like the intro being the third part of the song, and then the 1 2 1 2 3 1 with the solo, yada yada yada. I appreciate that they once again opened the song with like a a soft part, and then got into it. It sounds like almost like a Pinkerton song a little bit. It's that minor sounding kind of feel to it. One thing I'm gonna like, I think there's like this big middle finger to like all the Weezer fans in the world, is that goddamn solo went on for so long and there was no variation in it. Oh my lord, there was so much opportunity. Like, I understand the other songs, maybe they're like, okay, this is a very short spot, we're just gonna play the melody and be done with it. He just kept repeating the same melody over and over again on that solo. Like, man, you could have like elaborated on it a little bit. I'm like, it's like, no, I'm gonna stick to my rules, even though this is a long solo. Like, fuck that. That was just like, Jesus Christ, man. Too much for me. Too much. It made me mad. I forgot that happened. I heard it like in the past few weeks. I'm like, what? You doing that again? Come on. All right. Anyway, I thought it was just gonna be a short solo. I'm like, all right, it's understandable. That's what he's been doing the whole time. But he like, no, like, I'm gonna play it twice for you. Like, fuck, man. What else can I say about it? Anyone else want to take over?
I did write in my notes that the solo makes me want to punch myself in the dick. I think I've listened to it a bunch. That was a note from one of the listens. My most recent listen, I was more into it. I like the melody. I really think just what gets me about it is just that it is. I just want a new tone on the album at this point. Like, I'm just longing for the solo of Crab, where we had a bit of a different effect. And so for this to really just sound so similar to the rest of the song, like, it's almost like they were like, let's make the guitar tone match my voice as closely as possible, so it sounds like I'm just singing this. So it really feels like it's not bringing much new to the table. But then the last time I listened to it, I really tried to let myself get immersed in the tune and the story he was telling, and not think about it in the context of the Green Album and all these solos that I've heard match the vocal melody. And it kind of did wash over me, because it is a nice melody, and I was all right with it repeating. This tune is the one that has grown on me most from my first time listening to the album.
Okay.
I never disliked it, but being in the last slot, being a similar structure, the crunchy power chords, it just never really stuck out to me. It sounded to me like it was feigning being like a emotional climactic closer to the album, but I felt like it was so similar to the rest of the songs that it didn't actually earn that place. And I always the verse melody, and children every night, that part always has reminded me of Foolish Father off Everything Will Be All Right in the End, if you guys know that, which obviously came much later, and so it's my fault for being more familiar with that, but they do the Everything Will Be All Right in the End.
It is totally the same.
I think it honestly took me a while of listening to this song before I was able to like see it on its own merits, kind of like how I saw Scary Movie before I ever saw Scream. And eventually Scream became like my favorite movie of all time, but for a while I expected the Ghostface to start smoking weed, and it was tough to take the movie seriously.
I can't believe someone made a horror movie based on this comedy, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But those are really all my negatives out of the way. I'm going to let Sandy talk for a bit, but I got more to say about the song in a positive light.
Okay. This is one that I like a lot. This is one of my favorites on the album. I think that, again, because I know... I at a certain point was really immersed in the world of Weezer. So so there's a bit of context that makes this song kind of work a little more than some of the other ones on the album for me. Yeah. So Rivers, around 2002, he published this thing called the Catalog of Riffs. Do you remember this?
I've heard something. Isn't it Was it about his own riffs or about
His own riffs, yeah.
Okay, I've heard of it. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, so basically it started off as sort of like an Excel spreadsheet that he made that cataloged all of his songs from the very, very first one up until the most recent ones, which at that time were the ones that he was writing for the album that would become Make Believe, right? So we're talking about like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs. He has recorded almost everything he's ever written, right?
Yeah.
And so he had them all cataloged on this thing called the Catalog of Riffs, right? And it was really interesting to read because he made it available to us, and we could read all these like hundreds of song titles, and you'd sit there wondering like, what does it sound like? You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
It was amazing. And then around as 2002 progressed, he started including things from his personal life in it. So like old report cards or like things like that, or like notes from like doctor's visits when he was a kid. And he essentially made it an autobiography in spreadsheet form, going back to his early childhood. And it would be like dates in one column, right?
Yeah.
Like this, it would be like 1973 or whatever. And then in the next column, it would be like doctor's visit with mom. And then the next column after that, it would be like a scanned JPEG of like a doctor's note to his mother or something like that, right?
But this is like available like on a website that you could like click on?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I had this memorized by the time I was in grade 12.
All right.
And one of the
Other kids were like studying for their SAT tests, and Sandy's studying the catalog.
Yeah, man. No, I knew what my fucking priorities were, man. Are you kidding me? This was so funny to me because this is like a sidebar, but like I always had like I was a poor student in high school. Like I really did not do well. I barely graduated.
Yeah.
And like I had like a 52 average at the end of it, right? And I had teachers every once in a while who would be like, they'd be like, if you applied yourself a bit, like even a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like it would be a huge difference, right? And I remember always thinking that was really funny and kind of like, that always amused me because I was like, I am applying myself. Like I play guitar like 4 hours a night. You know what I mean? I'm like, I got all this Weezer research piling up, and I got like, you know what I mean? I was like, I apply myself. I just don't give a fuck about what you guys care about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that.
No. So anyway, back to Catalog of Riffs, right?
Yeah.
If you look, I'll find like an archived version. I'll send it to you guys. It's really interesting. If you look in the Green Album era, right?
Yeah.
For in the Catalog of Riffs, obviously he still has all his songs, but he's got his life events in it as well, right? We good?
No, sorry.
No. I'm asking you if we're good.
I'm just literally being neurotic.
I understand, Kevin. I'm asking you, are we still recording?
Yes, if we're I will stop you. I'm saying like I'm trying to like just make sure everything's still going.
Okay, cool. Because when I saw you look over, I was like, oh shit, are we in trouble? No.
Okay.
If you look in the Green Album period of his life, he makes reference to a relationship that he was in with a woman named Kelly, and it's from the Catalog of Riffs. It looks like they broke up a lot, like and got back together a lot, right? So I think that while the Green Album was being recorded, he was going through a turbulent time in his romantic life, and I think that "Oh Girlfriend" is actually about that.
Okay.
And there's a interview with him that came out as part of the Green Album press, right? Where basically he met up with a writer for like Spin or something like that, or like one of those big music magazines that was around then, right?
Yeah.
And the writer just kind of follows him around LA for a night, right? And they're just sort of hanging out, and he goes into a club for a bit, and one of the things he does is he takes the writer on like a little drive through the canyons and points out his ex's house, which is part of "Oh Girlfriend's" lyrics, right? I drive by your house every night.
Oh shit!
Right. There's also in the White Album song "Do You Want to Get High?"
Yeah,
he makes reference to a relationship where they're getting high, right? You crush up the blue and inhale through. That means crushing up prescription medication and inhaling it, right?
Oh, okay.
And in this song, he also makes reference to taking pills, right? And he said that somewhere in the White Album press, I can't remember exactly where, but he made reference to the fact that this is about a woman he was dating around the time of the Green Album. And I'm thinking it must be this Kelly woman that he broke up with a ton with. It sounds like they definitely did drugs together. It sounds like it was like a turbulent relationship. So I think this is actually one of the more personal songs on the Green Album.
That's funny. Is that when you say that, is that like, I wrote down the lyrics almost feel sincere and personal. And one of the examples I have is taking pills and mellowing out.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I had, is like happy as a little boy could be, which like kind of references like the kind of mummy issues that the themes that have happened like on Pinkerton. Like
totally.
I had a sense that there's more personal lyrics on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can totally.
Yeah, I think this is the most personal song on the Green Album. If we're defining personal in the same way that we would with Pinkerton or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's the most personal song on the album for sure. And it's also one where he uses his full belting vocal range, right? He's doing those harmonies, and those harmonies in the chorus are really high. Like he's in the oh girl, like that's already pretty high. The main vocal melody is pretty high when it gets to the chorus, but he's doing these quite high harmonies in the background.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And in terms of the solo, it's never bothered me because I really like the melody. It's like you say, man, it's like a function of how well do you appreciate, or how much do you appreciate the melody. I think that verse melody is really beautiful and really mournful. And to hear it in the solo, because he's doing the duet, it's got those harmonies. It's sort of like a duetted solo. It does go on a little, it gets a little long in the tooth. I totally see what you guys mean, but I've always really loved it. And this one is one that like when it's sort of like Across the Sea, when I was like in this like sort of like really weird internet long distance relationship, which was at this time in my life, I would put this song all the time when I was feeling sad about it. And when I was feeling like, bummed out about the fact that I couldn't be around this person. Right. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great song. And I know I sent it to you. I don't think I sent it to you. There is a phenomenal live version of it from Toronto in 2002.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh man, like I got goosebumps just now just thinking about it. Like he sounds so sad, and like there's like a longer solo that totally takes off and does its own thing, and it's a really really beautiful rendition of the song. Yeah. That's it.
Well, just to say really quickly, like I mean. So like this is one of the only songs, I think it's maybe the only song. Maybe Crab does it too. But
Crab does everything.
Crab, no wonder it's the centerpiece of the album.
But like, okay, so like that verse, so I miss you. So that na na na, that whole melodic line repeats twice, just like in the solo. Very often on this album, it plays its like melodic line the whole way through once and then goes on to this next part. This is like the one exception, which is like refreshing. Like I think like older Weezer songs would have that kind of thing where it like, I mean, Across the Sea is the opposite of that. It played its whole melody all at once, but like like No One Else or like No Other One. I don't know. There's plenty of examples saying so. Like it kind of they'll play with like the, oh god, I'm losing my train of thought. But the idea is that like they're not just playing this one sequence all the way through and then stop and then go to the next part. They actually play the sequence twice in a row. So this is one of the songs that does that, and that's why this solo goes for so long. That's all I really wanted to say.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the opposite of Don't Let Go, because Don't Let Go is da 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 da, which all feels very similar. Whereas this one has a little bit of, it's much longer before it resolves and then repeats again.
Yeah, exactly.
And in my last few listens, and I'm really glad that we've done this podcast, because I talked on our last episodes about how I've done full one-take covers of Blue Album and Pinkerton on YouTube on my acoustic guitar, and I've stopped at Green Album, not permanently. I want to do all of them, but at one point I learned all of the Green Album, and I was ready to go.
What stopped you?
And I just like wasn't really. I couldn't invest myself in the songs where like I could feel like I could perform them passionately, even though I knew how to play them.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think the time that I've spent with the album now has me at the point where I could do that, and no better is it exemplified than with this song. Because in my last few listens, I feel like I've finally unlocked where I wanted to be with this song. I wanted to feel like it was an impactful closer. I wanted to feel the emotion of the song, and I wasn't there, and I am there now. Now I appreciate it as adhering to the Green Album structure, and in spite of that, he still manages to fit in like these emotional lyrics and a very personal song that lyric wise it stands out from the rest of the tunes, even though now we've discussed those other tunes and we've kind of come to the realization, or we've verbalized the notion that those songs aren't vapid, but this song in particular does feel really personal, and I love that he slips in this personal song while still having those big power chords that the rest of the album has. I think these are some of the best lyrics on the album. I really like all the melodies, and so I'm okay with the solo doing it for that long, especially like if this song were in a vacuum. Coming at the end of the album, it is a bit of a bummer to me that we don't have a bit of a different solo, or at least I would love if after the solo, if we got some different lyrics, because he repeats the same passage from earlier. And so when he's repeating, now I just want to shout in such like a mellow voice, that feels to me like I could use a bit more of a climax or some different lyrics to set that up, some lyrics that we haven't heard before. But I really do like his vocal performance on this song and his willingness to include a song that has lyrics that are much more outwardly confessional than the rest of the songs. Like we've made the argument now that the other songs are personal lyric wise, but I don't think you could hear this song and think that it isn't personal. Whereas the other ones you have to work a little bit. So I think this is a really cool tune that fits the album really well. And so I would love to hear it on a different album and see what else they did. But I also really appreciate that this was able to end with an "Oh Girlfriend" instead of like "A Glorious Day" or something like that. Especially because I don't think "Don't Let Go" is that strong of an opener. And so I really appreciate that they were able to close it out with a song that matches the tone of the album but still feels distinct.
It sounded very like, to me, it's very Pinkerton-y. Like is it a minor key?
Yeah. It's one of those ones where you could make the argument that it's in a major key. Like it's sort of like he does both.
Yeah.
But yeah, the verses are very much in a minor key.
Yeah, it has a very like darker feel than a lot of the other songs. I just have a question. One lyric, I don't know if anybody knows the meaning of this. Feeling fancies every night.
Yeah, so I always took that as like I fancy you, right? Which is like a British expression for I like you, right? So if I'm feeling fancies, I interpret that as like feelings, like romantic feelings.
Oh, okay.
Like if
you can say I fancy you, but I'm feeling fancies towards you. That's how you say it.
It's peculiar, but that's what I've always thought he meant.
Okay, right? Okay, gotcha. Okay,
and that's not uncharacteristic of him. Like I think of in Pink Triangle where he says, "See a sweet in floral print."
Yeah,
No one really says that, right? I saw a sweet, but you can kind of contextualize it and understand what it means.
I used to think he was saying, "She is reaching for a prince." Like she wants to get a prince.
Yeah,
my mind begins the arrangements that he's the prince. And that's why I thought it was all.
That's one of the most. I mean, now we're talking about Pinkerton, but that's one of the most clever lyrics on Pinkerton, in my opinion.
Yeah,
where he's like, "See a suite in floral print. My mind begins the arrangement. Floral arrangement."
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. That's good.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great lyric.
One thing I want to say on this, because we're getting to the point where we kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
My hot take on the Green Album is that the second half is actually better than the first half.
Oh, yeah. Man.
I think that I wholeheartedly believe that the album is better in its second half than the first half. I think the songs get more interesting. The production doesn't get more interesting.
Right?
the first half of the album is definitely more varied in terms of the kinds of sounds that you hear. But I think that compositionally, lyrically, musically, the album gets better in its second half. And I think, I'm going to say one more thing about that.
Yeah.
That I don't necessarily evaluate it as like a cohesive group of songs necessarily. I sort of think of it as like each individual song, right?
Yeah.
So if I look at the first 5 songs of the Green Album, with Crab being kind of the swing song in between them,
Yeah.
right? If I look at the first 5 songs of the Green Album and the last 5 songs of the Green Album,
Yeah.
I prefer the last 5.
I mean, I definitely like see the distinction between those spots. I would, I put like 4 to 6, like Crab being part of the second half. Like structurally, I guess the whole distraction to me is like the production on the last 6, and then the way they're structuring them is like there's a lot of beautiful things going on in there that are probably much more beautiful than the first half, but I still was like, man, you guys should have worked all those things out a little bit more. I don't know, but no, I can hear what you're saying though. Like there's a lot of interesting things happening that don't happen on the first half.
Yeah,
like the first half feels more thought out almost.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence about it, I guess. I hear what you're saying though.
Yeah, it's tough. I just took a peek at my rankings, and it's pretty split. In terms of like
first half, second half,
some back half. Like it's not distinct. I mean, it's mixed. Like there are like a good mix of songs in my top 5 from each half, and same with my bottom 5. It's a mix. Because I think it does just like come down to melodies, a lot of it. And as we've said, like I love melodies in Simple Pages, Oh Girlfriend, Smile. And then I love a lot of the melodies early on. I do think it's interesting that the 3 singles are all right back to back, and they are, to me, the songs that feel the most lively.
That's an interesting thing too is that with this album, Pinkerton was almost the same way. It was Good Life, El Scorcho, and then Pink Triangle was going to be their 3rd single.
Yeah.
And Blue Album was almost the same.
Buddy Holly, Sweater Song, and then Say It Ain't So with Surf Wax
America was the one who was stopping it. And then Maladois, they're right next to each other. That like
same with Make Believe actually too.
Beverly
Hills Perfect Situation.
And what was the 3rd one?
We Are All in Drugs.
That was number 3 though?
That was number 2. It's out of order, but there are 2 singles next to each
other.
Oh,
okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Like there's for some reason they seem to.
They would be chronologically out of order on the Blue Album as well, because the Sweater Song was the first single.
Oh, I mean, not necessarily like the order in which they happen, but just the idea that they're all like
clustered.
They're all clustered together. Yeah. Something I just noticed. So I was like, oh yeah, like I'm looking at Maladois, but
yeah, I wonder how that happens, because I know that Rivers had to fight to make Hash Pipe the lead single. The record label wanted Don't Let Go, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, right.
Yeah, apparently it was like not like a subtle discussion. Like I've read that there was like, and I have a hard time imagining this, but I've read that Rivers was like screaming at the record company people, like "fuck you." It's gonna be Hash Pipe,
dude. Yeah, someone should have recorded that and put it on an album. Paperface 2. Yeah. I think he made the right choice. Like, Don't Let Go to me feels like it should be on the second half of the album.
Yeah, I agree.
Just in terms of its construction, and I think Photograph would be a more distinct opener.
Absolutely.
But I do think that people are doing themselves a disservice if they just stick to the first half of the album, which has the singles. And I've heard that before, that for people, a lot of these late second half songs get lost in the shuffle. And I do understand that. I was that way for a while too, and I had to spend time with it. But I think there are a lot of really nice stuff in the second half as well. It really is just, when I think of it like an album, it kind of bums me out. But like you said, if I think of it like individual songs on their own, it's a lot easier for me to swallow these tunes.
I just can't believe that. So Don't Let Go was what the record company wanted, and it's the first song on the album. So like, they're really trying to push this song. I had no idea it was considered such a like a banger, or was supposed to be, I guess. But
Yeah. Well, as my internet girlfriend said, it's nothing to write home about.
all right, you want to do the voting?
Let's do it.
All right, so there's more than one there. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm honestly a little bit confused.
Dude, this is gonna be a hard one. Yeah, I don't really know where to begin.
So we're all gonna write down our own favorite and least favorite song, and then we're gonna guess what the other two
yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
have as their favorite and least favorite. Okay.
Geez, actually, what's really funny is that like, if I made my list right now, I'm pretty sure it'd be different than the one I just made. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing a quick review here as well, just to make sure that nothing's changed too dramatically. No, I'm confident. I feel confident in my ranking. Okay.
Okay.
oh, okay, I can respect my decision here, but no one's gonna know. I honestly don't know. I wouldn't know how to guess yours. I'm honestly like, made some notes.
Did last time we did this? Did we do like? Did we do it like I would put my best song here and then my worst song on the next side, and we do it like that? Or do you remember how we did this last time?
I thought we just did it. Was it just best song? Do you remember, Liam, how it went?
We had 2 slips, I think, and we each wrote down our favorite on one, our least favorite on the other, and then we just spoke aloud our guesses.
Okay.
But did we guess? Did I guess your best and worst all at the same time?
No, we went around.
We did a circle of like.
We did a circle.
Yeah.
Like Sandy and I would guess your
Gotcha, okay.
least favorite,
And then we do a round of the. Okay, yeah, okay, cool.
Okay.
You have okay.
So we're going favorite and least favorite, and that's what we're writing down, and we're just kind of verbally guessing the rest.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you want another piece so that you can?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want my favorite song to be tainted by my least favorite song on the same paper.
Don't want them touching each other. Oh my god! I should like review. I made some notes about what you guys were saying. I should review them right now. Honestly, these are just shots in the dark.
I'm making an educated guess. You are a very enigmatic dude, Kevin. You make it really tough, honestly, man.
Maybe I'm just too like diplomatic. I'm not trying to give every song the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of love going around for this album, so like it's really. I find that a lot of my comments are about like pro information that you guys said, not a lot of anti. Crab was not hated.
No, we were pretty pro
We're
crab.
a pro crab group. Yeah, the subreddit would fucking eat us alive.
Okay, cool. I'm guessing you both hate one song as much. Just the odds are one of you is going to hate it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm not sure though.
I still need a minute because I'm still trying to figure you out.
It is. Yeah. You're tough, Kevin.
You should ask more questions, I guess.
I tried, bro. You're inscrutable. You got.
I'm literally not trying to. I'm not doing.
I'm a professional therapist, dog. I ask questions for a living.
But you should also realize that like I have the lowest score right now, so
I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, so I've been guessing the worst. So you guys have.
Oh man,
you're a tough guy to diagnose, Kev. Diagnose with a love for crab, perhaps?
Yeah. See, I asked you.
That'd be the biggest twist in the world if I love crab the best. Eh?
And you would think it'd be easy because we just spent 2 hours talking about our thoughts on the songs, but
Okay, I've got my guesses.
They're
all
very
set.
nuanced, though. It's
Yeah,
like it's
okay.
not like I imagine how many times I got mad about something. I don't know.
okay. How about we guess least favorites first?
Sure.
That's
do
all
it.
right.
All right, least favorites.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go around and focus on a person. So like we will guess. Both Sandy and I will guess your least favorite.
Okay.
Okay, so
My guess for you, Kev,
yeah,
I think it's a bit easier to guess least favorite because I can just think of it like we didn't have a whole lot of disagreements. So I think like what is near the bottom for me, and then I can project that on you. Whereas your favorite could be a bit more personal.
okay.
So I'm gonna guess that. In fact, I'll say it right now. I think both of your least favorites, and I'll only say this because it's the same song. I think both of your least favorites is "Don't Let Go."
Oh,
So Sandy, you just go for Kev now. I was getting
Okay.
ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to remember because we had a long conversation. This has been a long talk, and I was trying to
Yeah.
remember what you had said about specific songs. And you had a lot to say about pretty much all of them. And I don't know if this is a good strategy for trying to figure out which one is your least favorite. But I was like, what did you say? Which one did you say the least about?
Oh.
And the one that I heard you say the least about was Knockdown Dragout.
Oh.
So I guess that as being your least favorite.
I'm sorry, you're both wrong, and it's
Wow.
like I don't blame you, and I'm gonna give you the most cliched answer in the world.
No way.
It's crab.
Whoa! He's anti-crab.
Anti-crab.
Burn the witch.
Uh-huh.
I'm not hating on crab. I'd love to see it played live. It's just I think these are all great songs. Ultimately, in the end, it's just I just didn't get excited about it.
That's right. You didn't say that you were pro crab, so we should
Yeah.
have rounded down. 'Cause
Yeah.
you asked him if
I
he
was
liked
pretty
crab,
direct about it.
and he didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't say you disliked it either, which is fair. You don't dislike
I was
it,
told
but
that
it's
I wasn't trying to hide any
no.
information.
I know what you mean. It's just
Okay.
so now that that's revealed,
Yeah.
would you say you're anti-crab or you're truly just middle of the pack crab, and you're middle of the pack for all of the songs?
I think this whole album's just kind of like a little bit blah to me. I think this is some really inventive parts, and all the songs have something. All the songs have great merit. None of the songs just like I would never throw any of them in the garbage. But just like for me, I don't hate it in the way that like the message boards people hate it. Like I just like it just didn't excite me. I don't know. That's all there is
Cool,
to it.
man.
Right.
Cool.
Like I'm not mad about it. I was making jokes about it before. It was just like
You're not crab at the crab.
yeah, I'm not crabbing at the crab.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Ain't gonna do no good.
It won't
So-
do me any good anyway if I crab at it.
Okay. You guess Sandy's least fave because I already put mine out there,
Yeah.
and I'll stick to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't let go.
You're both correct.
Oh, cool. All right.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So is it just because it's just boring?
It's boring as fuck. It's really boring. I really am bored by it.
So if we take that live version and put that on the album, is it your least favorite still?
Yeah, no, it would no longer be my least favorite. It wouldn't be my favorite, but it would rise for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it is a real, the way they have presented it on the album. I think it is just a real snoozer. Like it's boring as shit. Yeah. Okay.
I have like towards the end of the conversation, we came back to Don't Let Go, and there was like a lot of hate being mentioned towards it, so it kind of helped a bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to guess Liam's least favorite.
I was gonna guess again, Don't Let Go.
Yeah. This is a hard one for me. I definitely heard some derision of Glorious Day. That was the only time I heard you.
I was flopping with that one too. Yeah.
That was the only time I heard you actively say that you disliked something. You said you did not like that melody. So this is a really tough one. But maybe I'm projecting here. But like I'm also gonna guess Don't Let Go.
Don't Let Go.
Totally fair. And I'll tell you, if it was the live version on that album, it would be higher in my rankings. Don't Let Go would be. But even still, I dislike Glorious Day. Just
I could have had it.
Damn.
I could have been a contender.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I really think what it comes down to is that the bones are still there for Don't Let Go for me, even though it's
Yeah.
boring. Whereas I've checked out live versions of Glorious Day. That melody doesn't. It's still the
It's
same
still
melody,
there,
and
yeah.
so it still kind of grates on me. Whereas Don't Let Go, I can get down with the melody, even though I can't really get down with the performance. Whereas Glorious Day to me is like fundamentally flawed.
Okay.
But I still want to say the intro, the first 10 seconds of that, one of my favorite moments
So
of the album.
this marks this is really actually really important. This is the first time on the Little Bitches podcast that somebody has said something that Weezer has done is fundamentally flawed. So now we're heading into choppy waters here, and it's just going to get
Fundamentally flawed.
choppier.
That's true. But we also have to note that I think it's fundamentally flawed, and you like that melody.
Yeah.
And so that's that. I bet that's going to be a common thread too. Is we're going to get to stuff where someone really doesn't like it, and someone else is there for it. So this
my
is
God.
fun.
There's gonna be some fist fights happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Knockdown, drag out.
so I guess I want to start with me for the best song.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is really tough.
Yeah, it's
really,
impossible.
really,
This
really,
is impossible
really
for
tough.
I don't even know. My guesses for you are different though. Yeah, okay, but yeah.
So this is really a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about what have I heard? What did I hear Kevin saying a lot of positive things about?
Hey, what did I say positive about?
You were pretty positive about Photograph. You were pretty positive about Hash Pipe.
Yeah,
You were pretty positive about Simple
it's
Pages.
a lot of. How'd you remember all that? You didn't write anything down.
And you were pretty positive about Oh Girlfriend. You didn't. You were, but Oh Girlfriend got points. Take it off for the solo.
I was really mad about that. Yes.
You wrote a whole essay about it.
Yeah.
That's the longest part of.
But then the only reference, the only footnote is the solo of Oh Girlfriend.
For you, I'm guessing Hash Pipe.
And what do you think?
I had written down Photograph, and it just occurred to me your least favorite off the Blue album was Buddy Holly, which is kind of a poppy, hand clappy, bright song, and so that has me worried that I've mispegged you.
Oh wait,
Hash
hang
Pipe
on.
is a great guess.
Hang on, just give me 1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I got confused. I got to change it.
Just change it.
Yeah, I actually got to vote Photograph. That's what I wrote.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
And in that case, I'll stick with what I wrote down, and I'll say Photograph.
It was Hash Pipe, man. It was Hash
Oh,
Pipe. But it's so subjective. But like,
bro, that really breaks my heart because I did have it's true. Like I had Photograph written down. I was like, wait a second, no, I didn't. I'd say Hash Pipe.
but Liam, why did you change your vote after Sandy was like, wait a second, like I changed my vote. Like,
Well, he changed it back to Photograph, and so I had to think I was on to something.
okay, fair enough.
Were you gonna say Hash Pipe?
No. I don't know where I was going to end up with that monologue. I was going to change it to something, and I thought Hash Pipe was a really good guess. So
Apparently it was.
Yeah, I probably would have changed it to Hash Pipe, but to be fair, I wrote down my guess as Photograph. So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So why Hash Pipe?
I think it's the most inventive song on the album. I mean, I didn't immediately like it growing up hearing it, but it's a very unique, great. I don't know. It's kind of hard to really like lyrically. I don't. It means nothing to me, but just like musically, it's got an interesting. Man, it's really hard to answer that question. I guess.
Sure, yeah, it is interesting compared to all the others. We outlined a bunch of reasons why it stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's even partly that like that pre-chorus that it resolves on a third bar rather than a full bar.
Right.
The solo that doesn't just play the melody.
That should have been the giveaway.
Yeah.
You
maybe
started right
true.
from the beginning saying that all the solos were irking you. Dang. I'm gonna do better on the Maladroit episode, listeners. I'm gonna really think about this guy.
I don't even know what I want, man. How are you gonna know what I want? It's hard.
So we got to guess Liam's.
Oh yeah, okay. So maybe I'm just projecting here, but I'm guessing Hash Pipe.
I'm also guessing Hash Pipe.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's Hash Pipe.
Nice.
You got me, and that surprised me. I would have said Hash Pipe was up there before I did my rankings. Like I've always liked it, but I've heard it so many times, and so I really thought that like Simple Pages was going to take it as a unique little ditty that really gets me in the climax. But I think for all the reasons you said, Kev, I love how inventive it is. I love the attitude that Rivers has in his vocals. The song feels very lively.
Yeah.
I think the lyrics are interesting, even though they don't. I'm kind of an emotional lyrics guy. That's the stuff that really strikes me. And there are lyrics on the album that are more emotional, but I still think these lyrics are like cool and a cool exercise. I don't think they're vapid. And
Yeah, definitely not vapid,
I just really feel like the band is firing on all their cylinders with that one. So I love it.
Yeah. It's an awesome song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now we're all tied with 5 points. Just to let you know.
Okay.
But is it the most awesome to Sandy?
Yeah, it's a good song.
Okay. So I'll guess Sandy first. I'll let you think a bit there, Kev.
Okay.
I think so. I would have guessed Simple Pages. Sandy gave me a little hint.
Yeah, I dropped a hint.
And after, after thinking about everything a bit more, getting sent the Old Girlfriend live version by Sandy, how much that song has meant to you, how I've come around to the song. So if even I did the switcheroo, and if you liked it to begin with, I've got to guess that your favorite is Old Girlfriend.
Okay.
Now, truth be told, I guess the same thing. But should I change my vote to split the difference?
You a gambling man?
I think I'm just going to stick with my gut feeling, I guess, because I could pick Simple Pages as well, but I went for Old Girlfriend.
Okay. Well, you both get a point.
Nice. Nice. Was it an easy pick?
Yeah. This was one where I was able to, as I said, I for a long time it would have been Simple Pages, but I listened to it once. I like a couple weeks ago, right? I was like, okay, like let's sit down and fucking figure out the Green album. And I listened to it, and I was like, I sat down to do the ranking, and I was like, okay, is there anyone that just obviously needs to be number one? And Oh Girlfriend was it. So
After you listened to the album, you mean?
Yeah.
Was there anything specific about Simple Pages that made it go down?
Maybe familiarity.
Hmm.
Maybe that it's having like a bit of like the Island in the Sun effect on me now, maybe because I listened to it like a lot, and maybe that's starting to dull it a little bit, you know. But Old Girlfriend to me is if it had been the reverse, like if Simple Pages had taken it, Old Girlfriend would have been number 2.
Sure. Yeah.
It's will always be in the top 3 of my Green album ranking for sure.
I have a note here saying, wait, not Sandy Fave was at one point. I think you said something along those lines.
Yeah, that was Simple Pages. I think.
Some Simple Pages that like you had mentioned that. Oh, sorry, yeah, those Simple Pages. You had mentioned that it was your favorite, and it's not anymore.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I dismissed it.
I gave you guys a big hint there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't tell the story of Simple Pages without saying it was like once my favorite, and it felt like an important part of that was to say like it's actually dropped, you know.
It was kind of a relief to hear you say that, because after listening to the album, I had felt the same thing about it. And I was feeling kind of bad about it because I wanted to be your Simple Pages brother in crime, because I thought you were going to be up there. So that was nice.
Wait, so now we got to do another favorite part of this, which is we get to share our like rankings,
Yeah.
like our overall
Yeah.
rankings of the album.
Yeah, I have the paper in my pocket here.
See how close everything is.
Yeah, I love this. This is almost my favorite part.
Yeah.
Should I go first because I was guest on first, or?
Let's hear it, man.
All right, so I mean, this is to me, it's a little bit arbitrary because, like, honestly, like I don't know, like,
Yeah. Did you find it hard to do the ranking?
yeah, I because we were last time we got together, we were supposed to actually discuss the Green album, and I guarantee you, if I found my old list and compared to this one, it'd be different.
Yeah, mine changed for sure.
So I have Hash Pipe at first, then Smile,
Nice.
then Simple Pages,
Okay.
Old Girlfriend, Glorious Day, Island in the Sun. Oh God, I screwed up again.
You got another one twice?
You got Crab in at number 6?
No, okay.
The correct placement?
Okay. So I do it on an Excel sheet, and like I keep deleting things and typing them in. So I have Old Girlfriend a second time at 7.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. But Photograph. Oh, you know what probably is it's Don't Let Go at 7. Photograph at 8. Wow, I actually like Photograph higher than that now. But anyway, number 9 is Knockdown Drag Out, which
You were close.
I was close. Yeah.
and then Crab is number 10.
But we were far away with Photograph. Though you're saying you think Photograph would be higher now.
Yeah, after all that praise I gave it, like I'm kind of thinking, yeah, maybe it deserved to be better.
You were talking about it like it was like one of your favorites for sure. This is what I mean, Kevin. You're hard, dude. You are very hard to
I'm
figure
literally not
out.
trying to. I'm not trying to confuse you. It's not my motivation. I just don't know.
You sure you don't want to make it your favorite song?
I
quick
think that you're a CSIS agent or something like that, and you're just like really good at throwing smoke bombs out. That's what I think. Liam, what's your ranking?
So my ranking, which is very different than it was when we initially did this. For example, "Oh Girlfriend," I think was 9 or 10. Like it was down there.
Mm-hmm.
It was down there. So now I'll go from bottom to top. My 10, my least favorite is "Glorious Day," and then 9 is "Don't Let Go." So you guys were just off there. 8 is "Smile." But honestly, I start liking these songs at this point, at number 8. And even then, like "Don't Let Go" and "Glorious Day," I don't they're probably like 2.5 out of 5 songs, maybe 2 out of 5 songs. So "Glorious Day," "Don't Let Go," "Smile," and then "Crab." I'm pro Crab, but it's down there at 7. "Knockdown Drag Out" is number 6. "Photograph" is 5. "Oh Girlfriend" moved its way all the way up to 4. "Simple Pages" is right there with Kev at number 3. And then surprised me, "Island in the Sun" was at number 2 with my newfound appreciation for it.
It is a classic, though. Yeah.
It was down there a couple weeks ago when we were gonna do this, but it got shifted up because I really tried to think about it singularly, and I really appreciated it. And then "Hash Pipe" is right there at number 1, so the 2 singles are up top there.
Cool.
With "Photograph" in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I dig it.
Okay. Well, here we go. So, "Oh Girlfriend," I'll start from the top. "Oh Girlfriend" is number 1. I don't know if I agree with this now. I think that but
This is a couple weeks ago you wrote this?
yeah, but I was, honestly, it could go either way. My top 4 could easily just be reshuffled. "Oh Girlfriend's" number 1, "Smile's" number 2.
Cool.
"Simple Pages" number 3.
Hey.
"Knockdown Drag Out." We all have "Simple Pages" at 3.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think "Holiday" was very similar.
Yeah.
I think we might have all had it at 3. It's a top 3 song.
Knockdown Drag Out at 4. I got "Crab" at 5.
Nice.
So I've got "Crab" highest in the ranking. I'm the
do.
most pro
You're the
Crab.
proest Crab.
"Hash Pipe" I got coming in at 6. 7 is "Island." 8 is "Glorious Day," leaving "Photograph" at 9 and "Don't Let Go" at 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you talked a good amount about "Don't Let Go." Why is "Photograph" all the way down there?
Because when I listened to the album, every time I listened to it for this purpose, I was bored in "Photograph."
Wow.
I was like, I never found myself bobbing my head or tapping my toe or like anything like that. Like I was just like, I'm listening to "Photograph." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At no point did it like grab me and like get a reaction out of me. It's like you with "Crab, you just weren't moved by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I know this is a catchy song. I know that there have been times in my life where I would have put it a lot higher, but like I listened to the Green album like, I don't know, half a dozen times for this. And every time I was like, I'm ready for "Photograph" to be done. I don't need to, you know what I mean? I'm ready for "Hash Pipe" to start.